it's like, hey, yeah, get a boat, go out a little bit, and go after the big fish.
Yeah, I mean, there's various places now in UK where there is no fish. And you talk to any, I mean, I went to the East Coast not so long, but last year I was talking to the guy, and this fisherman said,
"Hey, Daryl Love Survival, good to see you."
Hey, Daryl Love Survival. He was basically saying the fish stocks has dwindled so much that it's ridiculous. West Coast is better for fishing, in my opinion. You got the Gulf Stream and stuff.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's all down to, again, like anything, on paper, you wouldn't probably realize that you actually got to get out on the ground and try the fishing spots and see what's good for you and all this sort of thing.
Well, folks, I'm going to bounce out of here, go get some lunch. Good to talk to you all again. Peace out. Have a good one.
Catch you in a bit, Bob.
Take care, Bob.
Take care, Bob.
Yeah, there's as far as food storage goes, there's canning, there's dehydrating, there's freeze drying, like for eggs, and there's the water glassing, where you put in with the losing here the sodium, whatever, mix it up with the water and put the eggs in there, and they'll keep for years. And then there's salting meat, there's making jerky, there's all sorts of ways of preserving food. Some areas try to do it all. Others know what works in their area, and that's what they do primarily for their area.
Is so one for Mike and one for Daryl of Survival there. Gil asked me earlier, do you know anyone, or is canning a big thing in Britain?
Yeah, there's a few people I know that do it. I've had Blues Survival.
Myself out a drink here.
Yeah, I've had one of the channels that does it in the UK.
Drink.
You see, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone that does that at all, and they don't know anyone. I've not heard any sort of, even in preparedness circles that I speak to people, they don't do it.
Always boils down to the same thing in the UK, right? It's how much storage space we've got when it comes to things like this, because square footage for property is a lot more expensive over here than it is like in the States. So to start canning, there's a lot of shelf room needed for that.
Yeah, that's the key factor. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
my grandmother, she did some canning, a lot of it actually. She made marmalade. She canned that one. She pickled cucumbers, and she did basically.
So do you know anyone?
But she used water bath canning.
Do you know anyone that does it, Shadow?
I know at least one who doing it.
Yeah, right. How about Daryl Costa? Do you know anyone that does canning at all?
Who are you asking?
Costa, Daryl of Survival. You there?
Yeah,
I'm just attaching my microphone. Seems to have lost my mic.
Ah, right. Good. Yeah, I was saying, do you know anyone that does canning?
Actually, I do. My stepmother, believe it or not.
Right. Okay.
She
rural?
She lives in Cyprus.
Right.
And her and her sisters, they always get together, and they're either jarring stuff or they're pickling stuff. They're canning. They sort of. When you say canning, are you talking about? What kind of cans are we talking about?
Glass jars. You put it in there. You put it either in a water bath canner or a pressure canner, and you can your own food.
Yeah, my stepmom and her sisters are doing all sorts of old techniques over there in Cyprus.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Guardian.
Hey, Guardian, how you doing?
I don't know anyone. They do different types of meat.
Yeah.
popping
She
in.
does jam. She makes jams. She does pickle stuff. They do all sorts.
That's good.
I've posted the link in the chat for it's Blue Self-Reliance. She's based in east of the UK. She does a lot of canning and stuff.
Yeah, right. Excellent.
This is strange. The elusive Dark Mort Survival is not showing up in my chat.
That's why he's elusive.
I'm streaming it to mine. Is that why?
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. I was going to type in and say hi to him, and it's like, wait a minute, it's not showing up there. That's like some of the other ones I have, like Moon Over Miami and Utah Mike, aren't showing in the mainstream either because they're over on mine as well.
You see, people, you got to ask yourself now. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious that in Britain we don't do as much canning as you do in America or other countries.
Yeah.
And so the key question is why. I think a lot of people in Britain are so reliant on the supply chain, and the ready access to supermarkets, the proximity to supermarkets, and all the facilities and the provisions that go with it, that it's quite and the same with me. It's a lot more convenient to just cycle through, tins that you buy in the store.
Yeah.
And you can quite easily accumulate 6 months of tins that you buy in the store and cycle through those and rotate through them. So if you haven't got the skills, then you could say, what's the point in picking them up?
Providing the cost in the store remains value for money based on canning, because we're going to see prices starting to go up and up and up, and soon canning might become cost effective.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, we've noticed that now with their corned beef has massively escalated in price.
That used to be the cheapest meat you could buy at the supermarket.
Yeah. I mean, I bought a load of corned beef preps this week, and they were averaging at about £2.89 for a can of corned beef, and that is
£2.09 in Lidl's.
2.9, right? Yeah, I mean, well. You look at the content difference, and there is a massive range in quality and additives and all this sort of stuff.
If you guys have farm foods anywhere nearby, you can get Prince's at $1.99.
Right, I was going to say, is it Prince's? What the best one I found was from Tesco.
Libby's.
No, it was from Tesco. It was called Ship, SHIP, as in boat. Ship selected quality corned beef, and minimal additives, highest meat content, highest protein content, least salt, and all this sort of stuff. So that was anyway. That's by the by, but
one of the things here, the history of canning here for America, is part of it is said because it's such a huge, vast country, and people would go out and a homestead way away from everybody, and they had to store their own food. And originally it would be salting the meat, dehydrating the meat, jerking the meat, doing whatever ways you can do it that way. And then when canning came around, we got these jars and we can actually can more than just the meat. We can do jams, and we can can the vegetables, and we can can everything else. And my great grandmother, most of her life didn't even have the jars yet. Once the jars came out, they started canning everything. And then my grandmother grew up there on the ranch up there, and she learned canning. And then when she moved away and got married, she still kept doing it because that's what she grew up doing. And so my mom and my aunt,
hey Mark, good to see you.
With everybody grew up in a canning household. And so when my mom stopped canning, I don't think she really did much canning until 1971, when we were down living in Los Angeles, and the Silmar earthquake hit down there, and all of a sudden she started canning again. The stores ran out of food. They ran out of toilet paper first, paper towels second, and then meat and milk and everything else started disappearing, and so she started canning again. But she stuck mainly to the fruits and vegetables, pears, peaches, stuff like that. And my wife and I now are canning meat and chili and everything else now, getting back into what my grandmother taught me when I was a little kid.
Hey, Mark.
So it's a cultural thing.
Oh,
And wait a minute, I got to aim my finger right. And there's another canner down there in the corner.
Yeah, well,
Christ.
it's kind of why I was like, I'm listening on my phone. I'm like, oh no, oh hell no, I have got to get up here now. I'm in the middle of processing out 40 pounds of pork loins I picked up free.
Ooh.
Well, whatever, and because I made a deal with a guy, so they're all pork chops. I got about 10 pounds on trays. They're going in a freeze dryer raw. That'll be fun. And then the rest of them are all bagged up and sealed up and in my freezer, labeled up right now. My daughter took some home. But
nice.
Yeah, good times.
You see, that's massive difference there, on this topic of differences around the world. We wouldn't see anyone around here doing that sort of thing at all.
Well, I kind of made a deal with a guy. I sold him something for his restaurant that literally didn't cost me anything but some of my time and the amount of money. He gave me a big check up front and said, "Oh, we'll pay it off over the next 6 months." Well, it's been a year and a half, but I was in no hurry to get it because it's not like I was out any money. So he just orders. I go on one of his lists for his food vendors, and it's called Fresh to Frozen. So it's like when it gets too close to its sell-by date, they throw meats in the freezers, and they're good for another 3-4 weeks. But they put them on wicked sale, so it doesn't cost him as much money, and I get the food, and it was free to me. So yeah, I brought home 40 some odd pounds of whole pork loins. I just finished dealing them. I get beef, ground beef, whatever I want. He doesn't care. I've gotten fresh seafood, frozen seafood.
And what are you doing with the pork? Are you canning that?
Well, no, I don't can pork. So most of it's in the freezer. I have a freeze dryer, which I got some raw pork, boneless pork chops on trays for the freeze dryer. When they come out, I bag them up. So in 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, I can just take them out, add some cold water to it, in like 4 minutes, it's a raw pork chop again. But you got to treat it as raw. It's not cooked, and I always label it as such. And I just throw them on a grill, barbecue, frying pan, oven, whatever I want, and cook them up.
Nice.
That's Gil's next step is to get a freeze dryer, but that won't be for a little bit.
Yeah, a freeze dryer is pretty expensive too.
Yeah, I've been stepping up my game for decades.
See, aside from the one extreme to the other, canning side of it, which you don't see that lot over here, you do see a lot all over. Every town, city, most villages have their own allotments and allotment schemes. So people bid for, they got a bid for a plot and an allotment garden, and they grow their own food that way. And that's very common over here as well.
Yeah, but you've got to know the guy to get one, and I know people that have been on waiting lists for years for them.
Yeah, some places. I mean, we've just given ours up last year. We had it was a free piece of land basically. We've been using it for. Father-in-law was using it for over 30 years, and so when he died, we gave it up and let someone else carry on with it. We've got other things. Yeah, allotments are a good thing to have, and that's quite a commonplace here.
Yeah, it all depends on where you live. You live in a city, it's tough. Then you have to drive or train, go somewhere to do that and hope that everything's fine.
Yeah,
out in the country, in the county. I mean, I got my backyard here. I got a whole bunch of raised bed gardens and that. I've had them for years. I grow a lot of food here, and I bought a piece of property about an hour away. It's 15 acres. It's mostly trees, but I got like 3.5 or so that I'm opening back up again. It was a field, and that's where I'll be planting a lot of stuff out there, mostly for deer plot right now because I can't get out there all the time to watch it, so I'm not worried about it. I just want to see what happens, and then we'll build our house out there, and I'll have 3-4 acres of fruit trees and all the stuff I want. But this has been a long, drawn out, decades long process of getting to this point. It's not like I woke up one day and said, I'm going to buy land and buy a farm and move out to the country and da-da-da. No, I've been working on this for a very long time.
So what I got here So this is cowboy beef or cowboy beef. Basically, it's ground beef and baked beans mixed together and canned. This is ground beef seasoned with taco seasoning. And this is whenever I have an empty space in the canner, I do water. And this is sterile water that I can use either for drinking or for medical purposes. There you go.
Yeah, canning. Difference between canning over in the States and canning over in Europe. We pressure can pretty much everything over here. We can water bath all the high acid stuff and that. But over in Europe and that, pressure canning is like it's not common because they're so ungodly expensive over there to get a pressure canner. So water bathing is the way, but your times are exceptionally long. But that's the way they've been doing that for forever. So I mean, it's like 3 hours to can meat in a jar at boiling in a water bath, and you just got to keep an eye on it for 3 hours. But they've been doing it over there. Farms have been doing it forever over there, and people in the city over in Europe do it if they can. And over here, pressure canning, we like it. Well, we like it. We don't like it. It has its upfalls and downfalls, but we've been pressure canning here because, one of our government agencies says you need to pressure can. So they came out with pressure canners, which makes your time a little quicker and a little less involved with stuff, but you can still water bath it. But they don't preach that over here anymore because one of our 3-letter agencies says you can't water bath anything unless it's high acid, like tomatoes, pickles, stuff like that.
Mainly, they say you shouldn't do it unless we approve it, but they're not going to test it, run it through their kitchens and approve it. So it's not approved, but it's not disapproved either.
Right.
And that's part of the corruption of our government. People in that 3 and 4-letter agencies being paid off by commercial canners to limit, what they will test and approve, even though my grandmother did it all. She canned everything in water bathing. She never had a pressure canner ever.
You can get a pressure canner over here at a reasonable price, but they're quite small, like size-wise, like 22 liter, 23 liter kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. 23 liters is about 25 quarts. Yeah, it's actually not that small. And we have companies over here that sell them up. I can put in my 2 big canners. I can double stack. I think I can get 7 quarts on the bottom and 7 or 8 on top. So I can do like 14 quarts, or in your case, liters, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
in one batch. It just takes a little longer because you got more stuff to heat up. But yeah, I got 2 big canners and 2 smaller ones where I can single stack quarts or liters, and then double stack half liters. And but I've been canning for a very long time. I love it. I don't do everything now. A lot of stuff is going in a freeze dryer. When my canned goods get a little bit older, and like the flavor's still there, but it's not quite the quality I like anymore, I'll take them out of the jars and throw them on trays and throw them in a freeze dryer. And then, after whatever period of time for that, I put them in Mylar bags with O2 absorbers, make sure they're sealed right. And then, 5 years, I can just add whatever the water weight I calculated came out of it, just add the hot water back to it. And I got, my baked beans. I got, Spanish pork with rice that my wife makes. And I'll freeze dry pretty much anything as long as the fat content's pretty low. But freeze drying has its own science behind it. So you got to follow. Those have guidelines that are science related, not pay off the 4-letter agency related.
Well, can I ask you then, because I get a lot of new preppers that come up to me, and I'm completely new to the whole idea of canning, is how easy is it? I know there's a trust issue with a lot of people, like canning some meat and then right. Is that going to be okay? Am I going to poison my family in 10 years time?
Well, 10 years, you don't want to keep canned foods in jars 10 years. You probably could, but I wouldn't suggest it. Because you got the metal coated lids. That's what's on the inside. The rest of it's glass, so it's not all glass. Now you can still, I think some of the jars you can get in Europe are glass top, glass bottom. They look like some of our yogurt jars, and they have a rubber ring on it. You might get a little longer time if the rubber is good quality. and new. But canning, yeah, so everybody should start just doing water bath canning, which is just
Hey,
making
Troy, good to see
jellies
you.
and pickles. Stuff where you just have a pot of water, and it doesn't have to be a special pot, as long as you can submerge your jar and keep about 1 inch of water over it and keep it boiling. And then just follow the time guidelines. They're just guidelines, but they're kind of rules. You want to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to run through all the different times in that. But once you get into that and you get comfortable with it, then pressure canning is a whole nother realm of comfort zone. Because everybody sees these pictures of a canner that blew up and the lid is stuck in the ceiling and the whole stove is destroyed. Yeah, that picture's been floating around for 15 years now. It's a scare thing. And so pressure canning, yeah, you just can't walk away from it. It's not like you can fire and forget and come back in 2 hours and it's done. No, you got to hang
Hey,
out
of
with them all
Great
day.
World, good to see you.
And certain things you got to make sure are sterilized or at least cleaned well before they go in.
Hey, prepared
And I mean, get a
good
good
to see you.
canning book. The ball canning book, the blue book every year is everybody's basic start point. So if somebody wants to can, get that and go down. It depends on where you are in the world. Who sells some of the equipment, the little tongs and the lid holders and things. You kind of want those. And it's not difficult, but it is its own science in most respects, to keep it so your food is quality food that you can eat for the next 2-3 years. Just heat it up and then eat it. I mean, jellies are different. You can just open a jar of jelly and put them on your toast. You need to leave it on the counter because there's so much sugar in it, or put it in the fridge.
And that's the thing with the jellies and the peaches, pears, and stuff like that. There's so much sugar in it. We had my mom in 1972 canned in half-gallon jars pears. 15 years later, we opened the last jar, and it's still as good as the day she canned it.
Yeah, as long as that lid stays sealed and you keep it in a cool, dry, dark place. You don't want sunshine getting into there because it starts to alter things in there. They won't necessarily grow bacteria unless there was too much left in there after the canning process if you didn't follow all your procedures. Or, I mean, you want to use good quality food, like good quality peaches, pears, everything. You don't want to use something that's like, oh, it's a little rotten. Well, I'll just can it and it'll preserve it. No, it doesn't work like that. You're preserving bad food, basically, and then that spreads through everything. So there's a whole science behind it. YouTube has lots of its channels. Facebook has lots of its channels. Some people are good. Other ones, I watch some of their videos and just cringe, going, no. But I don't comment, and I don't put bad comments. I just don't hit the like button, and I don't comment at all, and I move on.
When it comes to canning, every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern United States time, Mark, Chef Tech,
hello, Raccoon
Tammy from Rebel Canners and I talk about canning or other food preservation every Monday night, and we've been doing this for a year and a half now.
Yeah,
is that on your channel, Gil?
That's on my other channel. My other channel. I'm going to type it in the chat here. My other channel here.
It's Camp Patton Family Compound, whatever. Yeah.
FAM Family. MPOUND. All right, there. I just typed it in there. Camp Patton Family Compound, and that one's my food, gardening, homesteading channel. Whereas Gray Man Prepping is my prepping and channel and stuff like that. But they both overlap because hey, homesteading is prepping. Prepping should be doing homesteading stuff too, gardening and stuff as well.
Little black circle with a green map in it. Is that the?
So actually, here, let me show you. So this is the icon.
I've just so I can paste
it
for everyone.
I can put the link up if you want.
I've just done it, I think.
Here's my icon for Camp Patton Family Compound.
Yeah, I found it. I've posted the link in the chat for anybody that wants to.
Thank you. Yeah, and Tammy at Rebel Canners is. Her number one rule is you can be a rebel, but you got to follow the time. You can't short the time on canning. If it says an hour and a half, you have to do an hour and a half. You can't do an hour. And what she does that is quote rebel is because the 3-letter and 4-letter agencies don't like you canning milk. don't like you canning butter, don't like you canning certain things. And she goes, why not? Our ancestors did. Nobody died. So, yeah.
Here's
But anyways,
Tammy.
yeah, so like I said, we have, Tammy and Mark and I do talk about it. We answer any questions. Example, this Monday coming up, the topic is off-grid canning. How to can when there's no natural gas, no electricity. So that's what that topic's about there.
Yeah, because I mean, you could technically do this on a campfire, but it's about temperature control, right? You've got to keep it the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tammy has several videos. Tammy at Rebel Canners has several videos where she's canned on a campfire.
Yeah, I just posted her page link.
Yeah. I've got it. I'm gonna subscribe.
Yeah, you can can on a campfire. Pressure canning is more difficult because you got to keep your pressure where it needs to be and not drop below. It can go higher, but not lower. If it goes lower, you got to start all over again for the time, because you need to keep it at a certain temperature over a period of time to make sure you've not killed it all, but pretty much eliminated 99.99% of anything that might come back to haunt you.
Mm-hmm.
Water bath canning, easy over a campfire, because you can have a raging fire as long as your water's boiling.
Oh,
you're good.
The Amish, the Mennonites, they can huge canning pots over woods outdoors.
Yep. I mean, it's doable, but you still need you need to have some sort of cleanliness and health conscious over bacteria and dirt and stuff like that. But you can't just like be out in the middle of the woods and throw a pot on a fire and rip some stuff off a tree and throw it in a jar and water bath it. Yeah, you'll probably get sick. So there's a lot of hygiene involved with it in both sides of it.
Hey, KP Heathen. Good to see you.
See if I can find something here for you here.
The Gypsy and the Vanilla Gorilla has an Ivanhoe kerosene canning stove 2-burner. Never heard of that one.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna throw up something here for you to share.
I'm gonna have to go get my laptop. My iPad's about to die. I'll stay on for a few minutes, but I'll be back.
All right, so these are some of the Amish style canners. Not a pot, but you can double stack anything, put a lot in there.
Those are water bath canning, right?
Yeah, this is for water bath canning, not pressure canning. I'm just trying to find some of the other ones here. I was hoping to find some pictures here of where the Amish are kind of camera shy, but I've seen. I have one of these canners. I got 4 of these type canners, different sizes. I got one that my mom used to put 12 half-gallon jars in at a time to do it. But
not that popular, Mel.
Yes, all sorts of different ones there. All right, here you got water bath versus a pressure canner.
Yeah, my stepmom uses something like that.
And I'm trying to find.
Yes, my stepmom uses those pressure. Yeah, there's pressure.
Yeah, I'm going to wood-fired ones to see. Here's an old picture of them out there canning. Look at the size of that tub there that they're water bath canning in. That is huge. They're doing probably 10, 15 gallons of quart jars in there per batch.
I'm thinking I can convert one of my ammunition crates to do this.
Yes. One of the things to do on these here, this one I like. They put a ball valve on it for draining the water out because it's so big. You can't the granite ware that I showed up there. That I got granite ware showing here. The granite ware pot like this one here is. I can pick those up and dump them. These have so much more water you can't dump them, and it's great to have a ball valve on it so you can drain the water. And once it's cool, you just use the water on your garden. Once the water's cooled down. But I'm looking to find wood stoves. Where's I'm trying to find some ones of the Amish canning, other than something like this, canning on a wood burning stove. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna pull that down.
I mean, the process of that, like the water bathing, the can's already sealed once it goes in, right?
All right. So what you do is you take the jar,
Yeah.
and there's two ways of water bath canning. There is hot pack and cold pack. Cold pack is you take everything, you stuff it in there raw, and you put the lid on it. It has a ring that screws on it.
So you're mixing up pressure canning and water bath canning there, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I've seen them do it for both on it, Mark.
Yeah.
So you put it on there, and for water bath canning, you put it on there, and you put it in the water. You bring the water up to boil. The water in water bath canning is above the lid by an inch or two, and you boil it a rolling boil, not just a bubble, a rolling boil for the amount of time.
Yeah.
And then once it's reached that time, then you either move it off the fire or turn the fire off if you're on a gas stove, whatever, or electric stove, and you wait for it to cool down to a certain point, and then you use the tongs. You pick it up carefully, put it on a towel. You put them over there. You put towels over it so that it doesn't get cold air to it, which can cause problems.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I was asking is because they're already sealed when they go in an SHTF or in a grid down kind of situation when you're doing this, the water that you're boiling it in doesn't really matter. You don't have to filter that or anything, right?
No,
straight from the river, right?
Yeah, you can. You might want to get the junk out of it. It might smell funky if you're doing it out of a stream. You could use ocean water if you really wanted to, but you're going to have all kinds of salt residue in your pot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with water bath canning, you boil it for the period of time. But like Gil was saying, when you put your stuff in there, whether it's cold or hot or warm, whatever, you put it in there. It's not when the water comes back to just a boil. You're basically making sure the temperature inside the jars, and it won't really boil until a rolling boil, until everything is the same temperature. And pressure canning, similar thing. You do what's called venting. That has the same reason. Well, I'm not going to get too into the details because I don't think we're here to teach canning. That's not really what either one of us are prepared for right now. So we're not going to try to give you too much details on it because it's not something we want to say, well, Mark or Gil said this and I did it and then my food went bad. So we're not going there. It's a process.
You need to get a book. You need to get a book. And speaking of getting a book, I'm going to share something here, which you get a laugh out of. Give me a second to get it up here, entire screen. Boom. There we go. So this is a PDF of the 1945 that's a brand of canning jars, canning book. And it goes to it. This was printed while World War II was still going on.
Oh, wow.
And it goes through and it talks about canning methods of processing, and it starts going into stuff, and then it starts getting into, quote, the meat of it. So this is like vegetables, and this artichokes, asparagus, beans, beets, Brussels sprouts, and it gives you your water bath canning time and your pressure canning time. And the pressure you need to have for it, the minimum pressure to do the canning.
Yeah, and altitude is involved also because at sea level, water boils at 212 or 100 degrees Celsius. Up at a mile high in Colorado, water boils at 180, which I don't know what it is in Celsius, probably like 92 or 88 or something. But because of that, you're not getting the temperature up there. Water boils, but it's not hot enough, so you have to put it. That's where your times either get longer for water bath canning. Yeah. Or you're in a pressure canner, you need to bring your gauge up to get the temperature because pressure and temperature go hand in hand. On a pressure canner, the gauge will actually show you both that, 10 PSI is like 237 degrees or something Fahrenheit. And there's this gauge on
we have something going on here, Mark. Look at okay. So what they're talking about there, some things you do not want to do that to. The Gypsy and the Vanilla Grill are talking about there. Yeah. Some things you can do that with, some things you cannot do that with. You cannot do that with meat. It may seal, but it's not.
It's not. You'll get lucky if it lasts a while. But just if you take an empty jar and put a lid and ring on it, and it would put it in the fridge first, put a lid and ring on it, and then or put it in the oven, warm it up, and then you let it cool down. The air contracts inside, and the little lid goes ding, And you didn't just magically preserve it because your lid said so. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
That's my basic bottle, and that's everybody's thing. It's like, oh, I hot packed all this food and I put it on the counter to wait its turn, and they all sealed. Is my food preserved? No, magic doesn't happen like that. It's not magic. This is science. Sorry.
On that list there, Gil, you've obviously got the time for your pressure and the time for your water bathing. There's a significant difference. Is that the only difference? How long it takes? Is the preservation the same amount of time?
All right. So, example here for water bathing meat, veal, pork, ham, chicken, deer, geese, birds, whatever, beef, and everything else. 3 hours, 180 minutes, 3 hours at a rolling boil. Pressure canner, 60 minutes for quart jars.
Yeah, now that time has changed over the years. So I think it's 75 minutes now in quarts at pressure, and it's still 180 minutes at water bath. So you boil something long enough, you pretty much killed it.
Yeah, the big one here that changed. The big one changed here is at the bottom here. And that's for fish. Fish has gone up. They've increased. It was 4 hours for water bath and 90 for pressure canning. And I forget what Tammy said it went up to, but it increased.
Yeah, like I would never suggest anybody do seafood. I just wouldn't. I won't. Yeah. I don't. I'll freeze dry it. I'll freeze it, but I won't can it because I don't need that aggravation in my life when I'm hungry.
Yeah. So this is for historical reference.
Yeah, don't copy paste this one and use it as
compare against the modern Blue Book and or Kerr books canning stuff. What's amazing is a lot of the times and pressures, a lot of them haven't changed, but some of them change as stuff happens. But yeah. This is the type of stuff my great-grandmother and my grandmother, this is the book they used.
Yeah. Now, if you look at some of the times on the left on there, whatever, so all the different vegetables, all different meats, all that stuff, fruits, they all have different times, and that reason is acid-based. Yeah. The higher the acid, the lower the time, and you don't even have to pressure can something like tomatoes or,
rhubarbs,
fruits and that. Yeah, as long as your acid counts. I know those times may vary a little bit. But you can water bath can it because the acid's so high, really nothing lives in it anyway.
Here for water bathing tomato juice, it says 5 minutes at a rolling boil.
Right.
But then you got like turnips, parsnips and stuff, 90 minutes. You got sauerkraut, 15 minutes. You got squash, sweet potatoes, 180 minutes. Peppers, green and sweet peppers, 120 minutes. So yeah, it depends on what the vegetable is, what the fruit is, and the times change. That's why you need to have a book. You need to have a book and follow the time. Okay, Phil Paul says, is this a pressure can special or general chat? Sorry, we're just talking about the differences all over the world of prepping, and right now we're kind of highlighting on. Because America does a lot of canning, and only a few are still doing it in Britain. And I'm not sure. I mean, Shadow, you don't know anybody that cans?
Wow. It might be a few around the country, but I know one who's doing it, but here in my city. But the rest, there are some in the rest of the country who still doing it, but the most of my people in my generation not doing it that much. Maybe
I'm gonna hop off and come back on my laptop. I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem.
Does Chef have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I do. Hold on.
He does have. He has one. He doesn't put that much on it. He's got tons of videos. He's just got to edit them and get around to doing it. And he's still working full time.
Hey, look, there's two of me.
Yeah, twins.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Okay, I'm gone. I mean, I'm still here. I mean, I'm gone. Yeah, I got two channels. One is Magic Acres. The other one is Chef Tech 86. I'm starting to put stuff on the Chef Tech channel right now. I have a couple random ones on Magic. I'm not a regular poster. I have done a few random lives and just thrown some stuff on there on canning, but I'm getting there.
That's
And,
fine.
I
I just wanted to put everyone's channel on my stream so everyone can click through to you guys. That's all.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Another
Feel
good
free
thing
to do that.
Have you guys spoken about smoking meat this evening?
Not yet.
Not
we're
yet,
waiting
but
for
I see CD talking about it.
Yeah, smoking meat is also good for preserving. You can do that in the bush.
Yeah. My mom, when she was a teenager, went hunting with a number of her uncles. She had 13 uncles, so and they would go out and they'd go hunting deer and quail and everything else, and they'd be out there for a week, and they had a big camp set up with tripod from trees and stuff they set up, and they smoked venison, they smoked fish, they smoked squirrels, they smoked everything they caught out there.
They smoked the.
It's not as long. It's not as long preservation though, is it? Smoking.
No, but
it'll get you through the winter. It'll get you through the winter.
Yeah.
Now you got dry curing, you got salt curing, and smoking. You got the mixed match of a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where some of your like capicola and stuff like that. It's salt cured with or without nitrates. I prefer without. And then you got it's a weight loss thing. That's its own science by itself. And you got to do a lot of math for it. And then you got to let it hang I think it's like 75, don't quote me. It's like 75% humidity environment, usually a basement room or something. And it's got to hang there until it loses more weight just by evaporation with fans going. And then you can just slice it up and you don't cook it. It's just raw. And the longer it sits, the harder it gets. That's why in Germany, I don't know if anybody knows what Landjäger is. It's basically it's a cured like beef sausage. And they're like little squares. Yeah. And the longer they hang on the butcher's shelf, the more expensive they get because they're firmer, they're harder, they're more dense, and they've sat longer. So it's a cost thing. And you could buy fresh Landjäger, which is cheap, but if it's a year or two old, you're paying a whole lot more for that. But that'll last for a while, just hanging in the right environment. As long as the salt's in there and the bugs don't get on it, you're good. And the bugs won't get on it once it's cured properly. So that's curing and smoking. Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, but they are separate things. Just smoking things like fish that you'll see on some of the Alaska prepper channels. Yeah, they'll smoke the fish, and the fish is good for a while. A lot of people will smoke the fish, then they'll can it and put it in jars. I'm like, okay, I won't do that, but that's fine. You can do that. And you just smoke it. So you're good to get through the season until, the winter clears. You can go back out and go fishing again. That's pretty much all food preserving was based on, was to get you out of the harvest and through the hard time and into the next year's harvest. So you had food to get through on. That was your food.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. There's someone asked. Put tallow with a question mark. Yes, tallow is great. Get rid of all the friggin' seed oils out of your kitchen. Get tallow and lard, avocado oil, olive oil. Yeah. See,
I'm actually rendering all the pork fat right now in my stove in a big Dutch oven. All the beef fat, I render all that down when I get whole pieces of meat in that. I cut all the fat off, render it down. I throw it in quart jars. I got probably 15, 20 quarts or liters of tallow. It's like white gold. I mean, it's really cool. It's yellow when it's hot, but when it cools down, it just turns bright white. And I'll cook all kinds of stuff in that, deep fry in that. It has a lower smoke point than all your other deep fry oils that they use in the restaurants and that, but tastes better and it's better for you.
Shadow, the next comment up from what you have highlighted there about Bushcraft family. From Mel Sidley. I can't imagine many people eating squirrels and rabbits nowadays. My daughter and her husband were raising rabbits and eating rabbits. Not raising them this year. A friend of mine I grew up with, who's the same age as I am, mid-60s, he grew up his family hunted squirrels in the cities, and he grew up eating squirrels, and he's still eating squirrels and talking about it on Facebook. So it also depends part of the country. If you're here in the United States and you're from the Appalachian Mountains and stuff, yeah, squirrel, possum, raccoon, all common foods that they eat here or eat there. Let's see here. Just looking at the things here. But yeah, there's are a lot of differences, even here in the United States. Appalachian versus the Plains states versus the West Coast states, where you got the mountains and the valleys and everything else. Everybody has a different regional preferred way of preserving food and stuff. They have their own regional ideas of what they got to prepare for, and they have their own regional mindsets of, all right, this is what we need to get. East Coast, hurricanes. Gulf states, hurricanes, tornadoes. Midwest, tornadoes, heavy rains. Northern Midwest, ice storms, tornadoes and stuff. California, or as I like to call it now, California, earthquakes,
Not political.
wildfires, and riots are the things you got to prepare for. Okay, and
so I mean, the topic is the differences around the world, right?
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to mention is the acceptance of prepping is quite different in different parts of the world as well.
Yeah,
it's quite different in all right. It's quite different in the state of California, whether you're in the big city, if you're out in the rural areas or in the mountain areas. Big difference between it, and and of course, prepping got a real bad name here in the United States, thanks to TV, with shows like Doomsday Preppers, and they pick the most idiotic people to highlight on that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that.
They did one here in the UK as well. Called the UK Preppers.
Yeah, and it was just as much picked on the people that were a bit questionable.
Well,
yeah, because they don't want us. They don't want us knowing those old skills that people used that survived for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They don't want us to survive. They want us to be dumb. They don't want us to know about the land, trees, nature. They got everybody into playing games, all the kids playing games, and now to the point where you're finding puppies, dogs in a dustbin. Where kids used to love having a puppy, now they want Xbox, PS4, PS5, the latest phone, and so people have lost those skills. People go, oh, my grandma used to do this. Oh, my granddad used to do this, and now. Oh, well, we'll just get a microwave and stick some food in it.
Yeah. I mean, prepping, most people uneducated type, not uneducated, but not educated in what prepping technically is. They see a prepper as somebody with a bunker full of, pew-pews and freeze-dried food, wearing camo and having barbed wire around their house. It's like, no.
Yeah. So I did an interview on BBC Radio 5 Live over here the other day. I put it onto my channel if anybody wants to hear it. But one of the questions he said was like, well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. Halfway through, when he realized I'm just talking sense, he said, so let's get this straight. You're not hiding under your table every night with one hand on your pantry waiting for bombs to drop. I'm like, no.
No.
So what?
I go about my day, do my thing. I just have stuff. I mean, I was growing up, yeah, I was in the Boy Scouts. So was Gil. Gil's still a leader and all that. I'm not. But I mean,
Yeah.
the Boy Scout motto was be prepared. And I took it to heart. I
Same
always
here.
have been.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just general. I was always generally prepared for whatever. Now I'm just a little more prepared because I have a family and neighbors and friends and stuff that, may or may not be on board, or they're on board, but they don't have the time, space, or skills to do stuff. So I do it myself, and they most of them know, or a couple of them know that if anything happens bad, yeah, just get your ass over here. We're fine.
But
You know,
that's why the biggest impact in SHTF, in either if you're in a built-up area in the States or if you're in the UK, which is quite tight-knit anyway, is other people, because there's a whole generation of people that rely on one click and my food's here, Uber Eats, or shopping's been delivered the next day, and they just have nothing in the cupboards.
I think if you go with the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, whatever. I think there's 3 generations that have lost everything. I think the boomers and Gen X are the last group that really know how to do anything, with the exceptions of those that we are teaching specifically. Like my daughter, she was born in early 90s, but she's raising chickens, raising rabbits, they're turkeys and geese and stuff, and they are butchering them or processing them and doing all that stuff, with them, because Dad said to. Dad knows how to do this stuff. Dad taught me how to use knives and swords. Dad's cool.
Yeah, and when you can pass it down, it's great. But even some of the Gen Zs, I mean, I've got Scottish Prepper 73, who was in the chat before. He's got his own channel and stuff. He tried to pass the knowledge down, and the basic response from his kids was like, "Yeah, we don't need to do that because you do it all."
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Well, like, all right, I'm going to brag on my youngest son. My youngest son, who was born in 99, he took a lot of stuff to heart. When he got into Boy Scouts, he went whole hog. In the United States, the Boy Scouts are broken up into 3 different groups. There's Boy Scouts, which goes from age 10 and a half to 18. There is Varsity Scouts, which goes from age 12 to 18. And then there's Venture Crews, which is co-ed, goes from 14 to 21.
We used to call that Explorers.
It used to be called Explorers, yeah. He, at one point, he was in a scout troop, a varsity team, and a venture crew.
Hey, Rob Painless, good to see you, brother.
And he got the for the varsity scouts, it's the Denali Award's the highest level. He got the Denali Award before his 16th birthday. He earned his Eagle Scout on his 16th birthday. He earned the Summit and the Silver for Varsity Scouts. And he was, when he was, all right, there's a course here in the United States called NYLT, the National Youth Leadership Training. I wish Scouts were doing that worldwide. You have to be 14 years old to get into it. You have to, they won't accept you unless the course director gives a waiver. His course director was his math teacher in school, and he got into the course at 13. The next year, he was back on course as quartermaster, youth quartermaster, and he did that for 5 courses. So, yeah. And we made the learning of this stuff fun for our kids. That's why my daughter does what she does. That's why my youngest son does what he does. My middle son, he had everything done but his Eagle. He just didn't want to do the project. He goes, I just like going hunting, shooting, hiking in the woods, doing all the fun stuff off grid. But he didn't want to do the service project. But
hey, Lillian, good to see
they
you.
enjoyed it because we made it fun. And that's what the problem is, in my mind, you can agree with me or not, is that parents that know how to do this aren't making it fun for the kids to learn how to do it and to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I made it fun for my kids growing up. I get home from work, and that's when I was working at a dealership fixing cars. I get home, wife wasn't home yet, and they're like, "What's for dinner?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's play a game. What do we got?" I'd open the fridge and pull out all kinds of stuff we had, different vegetables, meats, things, pastas, and I'd whip something up, and they would just sit there in awe. And now they do it. They're all grown up and married and moved out and that. And I'm like, "What are you having for dinner?" She's like, my one daughter's like, "I don't know. I'll see what's in the fridge." And she laughs because she knows that she learned it from me. Just make it up, and then you start to learn how to deal with flavors and stuff. But that's, you don't have to be a college scholar. I didn't make Eagle Scout. You don't have to be an Eagle Scout to be smart and learn and know stuff.
Yeah.
It's a status that's great, and I never got to it, and that doesn't bother me a bit. I had other priorities in my life at the time, so I didn't go there. I wanted to, but I didn't. But I still learned a ton of stuff, and I use it every day.
You guys are lucky. I brought my son up in the same way, camping, cooking, everything, and he's still a write-off.
Sometimes they just don't want to learn,
Nope.
Sometimes though they become, you think they're a write-off, but when the poop hits the fan,
There you go.
they all of a sudden they go, "Oh crap! I remember something from this. I better do this."
I hope you're right, and I do think he acts more than he actually is. I think if he put his mind to it, he could do things, but it's easier to let somebody else, right?
Yeah.
And you can see the brainwashing where the youngsters think that preppers are potty. That's what they get from society, the TV in general, is that I got cut off there earlier. I don't know if you guys noticed me gone, but I was gone for a couple of minutes. But for some reason, I just got cut off. Really strange. When I speak, it's like someone don't like it. But yeah, the system, these agencies, like you said, 3-letter agencies, but I'm going to say a longer word, Monsanto. I think they've sold out. It's a different name now. Someone bought
Bayer.
Monsanto. Bayer, that's it, Bayer. Yeah, so there's an example right there with your boy, I know I don't want to be associated with that, Dad, but how do we bring back the cool? Do we get Sylvester Stallone to do like a kind of prepping type video where it makes it look cool? Like he's in the jungle, he's got to prep cans for his survival. I don't know.
I don't know, because I think we've already got enough amateur preppers who think they're Rambo, so that might do more harm than good.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, come on, man. Who's cool like Rambo?
Yeah.
And besides, here in Sweden, some people think we are preppers are the nutcases with tinfoil hats and things like that, and we have a different view on things when it comes to preparedness. Well, as I mentioned on your channel, Mike, on your podcast, that is, we are surfing on the green wave. Okay, the green wave means basically that we should help each other all the time. Okay, help everyone as much as we can. But there is a little bit of a problem. You can't help everyone or everybody. Yeah. You can't. And sooner or later, and all of this is built on that, hey, you need on trust. Okay, you can trust them, you can trust those big guys, and you can trust those. But I think that could be a little bit of a dangerous thing too. Because if you begin to help a lot of people, and if you gather together in a group and help other people, that can be a problem, because you can get a target
Yeah. I mean, people have said that to me, that I'm putting a target on my back, spreading the words and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm sure we all did our own little risk assessment before we started YouTube channels, and it's risk versus reward, right? And we have to just be concerned with the fact that not everyone can be saved, and not everyone wants to be saved. So we can only do what we can.
Not everyone wants to be saved. There are,
and a lot of people don't know they will need to be saved until after the fact. Then it's like, oh, I got this guy up the street. I'm just going to go knock on his door. I know he's a prepper. Yeah, guess what? Either he's not there or you ain't getting in.
Good to see you.
You say that, but the independent survey did a survey in the UK, and I think 56% of people said that they think World War III is going to happen within 5 years.
Of course.
Yet there's not 56% of people are preppers. So a lot of them have just gone, yeah, it's going to happen, but I'm going to do nothing about it.
Government's going to take care of me. Yeah. I'm going to go stand in that food line and eat your GMO. Whatever the hell you're cooking.
Delusional. That's how much brainwashing that's how much brainwashing they're under by the whole system of things. Doesn't matter. There's a big war in Ukraine. The Middle East is kicking off. But go to McDonald's. Go to your local store, be a consumer. We've got it covered. Yeah. Right.
One of the things that I really, 2 points I want to touch on. One is when we were talking about, why things are being pulled down on us. They're trying to keep us as serfs to serve the upper elite. That's the one thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing, I want to point out is what Mike said here about, I'll just go over to this house. I worked for Homeland Security before I retired when the nutcases started being put in place by the demon rats. And I worked with the CERT program, the Community Response Team program in California stuff. And I was on the different committees and stuff, meeting with a lot of the fire departments, the police departments and stuff, which were the agencies that were sponsoring their local CERT teams. In one of the meetings, a couple of them said, well, all right, I've got some stuff, but if things go bad, I'm heading over to Gil's house. And someone else said, me too, I'll bring all my supplies over too. I said, hey, you guys are welcome to. However, when you get there, I ain't going to be there. We're all going to be gone, and we're going to be out of state. And they kind of looked at me like, what? If it's bad and and the poop hits the fan, or we fall into a total Twaki situation, I'm gone. And they all kind of looked at me like, whoa. Because, hey, here's the Federal Emergency Management Coordinator saying, I'm gone.
At least you told them. I'm just going to have a queue of people outside going, why isn't he in?
And, well, here's the thing is, across the street from me was a corporal from the Hercules Police Department. Up the street was a lieutenant from the Highway Patrol. And down the other way was one of the Martinez City police officers. They all knew. And they're all planning on out at the same time. They see me packing everything up, all the cars and everything, and taking off. They're going to be packing as fast as they can to try to catch up with me.
What was that place recently? They had a big fire. The island, was it Haiti? They recently had a massive fire, and apparently all the fire extinguishers were gone from their places. I don't know if anybody knows about that story.
No, I missed that one.
Yeah, basically, there was a big fire. Oprah Winfrey was doing a charity, raising money. And
that was down in Hawaii. That was Hawaii during the Lahaina. The Lahaina fire. Yeah, that's a whole nother bag of stuff. Yeah, and she's trying to collect money for everybody. Meanwhile, she's got billions of dollars. She didn't want to give her own money. Her and The Rock, both of them.
She also hired a fire team to go to her property before the fire happened.
Yeah,
that's right. She had a blue roof on her house. It wasn't going to burn.
The fire stopped at the rich people's land.
Yeah. All right. So to answer the question sitting down here, is there preps we may need for the future that we may not have?
Everything.
All right. All right. So I'm going to put a plug on my channel. Every day I put out a short video. I try to keep it under 45 seconds. Usually I try to keep it under 20 seconds. Called Your Prep for Today. All right. I got 700 of these to put out.
I've been saving some of them. I'm like, oh, good idea. They've been appearing on my feed. They're really good.
Anesthetics.
Yeah. So
anesthetics is something that we need to have if we can get it.
Yeah.
Anesthetics.
Yeah. So preps that we may need that we may not have. Well, one of the ones that I just found a good source for, and I got it, was the tablet amoxicillin. Has like a 25-year shelf life on it. Okay. So I got one of those. So that's something that most people don't think about getting.
Antibiotics.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's an antibiotic,
Amoxicillin.
Yes, I can't even pronounce it here.
Yeah.
There are some of the stuff that most people don't think about. Honey.
Mm-hmm.
Honey is a preservative and has medicinal uses as well.
So is salt.
Salt. I got 20-pound bags of salt out in my shop because it has multiple uses, and it won't go bad in 3,000 years.
I was just going to mention that there's a like a wholesale, like best before wholesaler near me called Rogers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got salt because it had passed its sell-by date. You know, the little stamp the supermarket put on the box, and they were selling it a case of like how big were the jars were like 250 milliliters, whatever that works out in 250 grams. So they're not massive, but there was a crate of them, 24 of these for £3. So about $5.
It's like you gotta love it.
How many can I fit in my car?
Salt is 12 million years old and it expires tomorrow. Yeah.
And if it loses, what you can do is you can mix some of it with fresher stuff, although it does last long. But I'm just saying,
no, it's salt. It's sodium chloride. It's a mineral. It's not a food product per se.
You can freshen it up a little bit by mixing it with more fresher salt. I don't know. I don't know what measurements wise. Maybe chef would know.
Salt doesn't lose its flavor.
Here's one of my pet peeves when it comes to salt. Our salt has iodine added to it.
Yeah.
In the trash. Why? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why? And all it does is that when the iodine goes bad in there, it makes the salt unusable, makes it toxic.
So that's why it's added then, so it can have a finite date, so you have to buy more.
If it has iodine added to it.
So the globalists like hoarders. Do they like hoarders, or they prefer us to use the stuff and keep buying produce? I'm just thinking, in the long run, what short term do they not like preppers because they want us to keep coming shopping, or they don't want us to
don't like preppers because we're sharing knowledge that makes us self-reliant and not relying on them for our livelihood.
And what we could say to them is, listen, this thing goes back to not just our grandmas, but their grandmas and their grandmas and their grandmas. So this is something that isn't just sort of, it's a fad. It's not a fad that we've got. This has been going on for centuries where people have been prepping. But they don't want people to know prepping skills because they don't want people to survive. That's why you can't get safety equipment. In a certain situation, people were lacking hand sanitizer, face masks, the basics, let alone, stuff for NBC, CBRN, nuclear and biological, so we want our soldiers to have the top of the top of the line stuff, but the civilians, you haven't got it. Why? Do they not want us to survive? They tell us we care for you, we love you. No, they don't. That's a lie.
Oh, yeah. They halfway. All right. They want those that are, how do I put this? Those that are the most serf-like to survive, so that they'll be their serfs. I don't want to use the other S word.
Yeah.
But the ones that are are more knowledgeable and more free thinkers, they can't control us.
Troublemakers, them, Gil.
Yeah, they want to be able to control.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the thing. So if you're a free thinker, you're self-reliant, you have skills. They oh, this guy's strange. He's got skills. We try to make him feel like he's something you don't want to have around. So they don't trust them, or they don't want to do. People don't want to become like that.
Yeah. The only reason you think prepping is a new thing or a fad is because a generation ago, 2 generations ago, it wasn't prepping. It was just normal life.
Yeah, it was just being prepared for the seasonal changes and just in case something happens. Yeah. I lost my job. I got food. Okay.
Yeah. Here in the United States, being a prepper is it's
almost a 4-letter word.
No. It became a thing in the late 80s, early 90s-ish. Prior to that, it was being a survivalist.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
that generated its own bad reputation because
the media generated its own. This guy here was went out, did something, and he got his guns and he went out there and went down in a hail of bullets. That's not a survivalist. He did not survive.
Yeah,
he's not a survivalist.
Rule 1: don't die.
Yes, exactly. Rule 1: stay alive. So, but yeah, there other items people don't think about for food. So you got food, everything you need for food preservation: salt, honey, sugar, pepper.
Pepper's a flavoring. Pepper does not preserve anything.
Yeah.
Ever.
But pepper was listed as one of the first preservatives back in England when the trade routes brought in, because it took the spoiled meat. Oh, it tastes good now.
Yeah, it's not a preserve. Pepper is a spice. It is not a preserve. So, hey, Mike, one quick one for your channel. So we talk about salt. Here's one to think about. If you, and I know in the UK, you have what they call saline swimming pools. They call it a saltwater pool. It's really not. The salt gets added to the water, which goes through a device which creates chlorine. The sodium chloride's broken down, makes a chlorine pool. You look up pool salt and they come in 40 or 50 pound bags. It is a super fine, super refined, pure salt. If you look up the MSDS sheet from Morton or whoever makes it there, and then you look at that, all their salt is listed on the same MSDS sheet. There's no additives, there's nothing. It's pure salt, and it's cheap. A 50-pound bag of Morton's pool salt, they call it pool salt because you won't use it for anything else then, is literally sodium chloride, highly refined, super fine. So it's not like table salt, which is crystals. This is like a powder, but it's still salt. And it's cheaper than buying salt, and salt lasts forever. Just get it out of that plastic bag so you don't get contaminants going through a hole in it, and put it in plastic containers or glass jars, and you're good, just to keep it safe and keep it from getting wet. I mean, if salt gets wet with just water, sure, it'll dry out. You can break it up again and use it again. Once it's contaminated with meat juice in that, you got to go through a different process to get the salt, get the meat products out of it. You've got to go through a distilling.
Would this be the same? I've just found water softener, salt granular, 10 kilogram bag.
Yes, but no. So water softener salt is not as refined. It's very chunky. You got crystals, pellets, and
with added stuff to it.
Yeah, some of them do. The one for high iron usually has something added. The other stuff, no, but it's not exactly done in the cleanest of environments.
Right.
Pool salt, because when you're swimming in a pool, it needs to be sanitary to keep people from getting sick. That's why the chlorine levels are there. So pool salt is highly refined. So it falls into the same SDS sheet or MSDS sheet as table salt with no additives in it. So if you look up swimming pool or saline pool salt.
Pool sells swimming pool salt, 25 kilograms for £22 on Amazon. 100% natural product, contains no additives.
That's it.
I'll put a link in just in case.
And if you have and I'm sure in UK you got people do have swimming pools, so there's probably a pool supply store somewhere in the outskirts of town. I don't know where. You'd have to look that. Just look up swimming pool supply store and pull it up on maps and see where the one is. You can always call them on the phone and say, "Hey, do you guys carry pool salt for my saline swimming pool?" They're like, "Oh yeah, we got 2 or 3 pallets out back." It's like, "Great, I'll be right over. Pick up a couple bags."
I imagine in this country, because there's such how little people have swimming pools, it would be quite a niche. So they're probably better off online with something like that, unless they're very lucky and happen to live in an affluent area with a lot of swimming pools.
Yeah, that's where you just got to look up pool store, and if you happen to venture out that direction, call them on the phone.
Yeah,
Say, hey, because a lot of these people, they think that the saltwater pool is so much better. It actually is, because you're actually swimming in salt water. As the sodium gets dissolved, it's salt water, and it goes through the electrolysis thing, which splits it into different atoms and chlorine and creates chlorine. And you have to always add salt to it. So there are swimming in a saltwater pool. It is better for you. You do tend to be a little more buoyant in them. I know, because I take care of swimming pools for my company. And this is where I stumbled on it. And I was like, huh. And I did a bunch of research out here. And yeah, everybody carries pool salt out here in all the pool supply stores. And but Amazon will probably be stupid expensive to ship it to you, and the bag will probably break on its way. So it'll be like powdered salt flying everywhere by the time it gets there.
There's nothing like getting a burst white powder package through the post to make people talk.
Yeah. Don't worry, it looks like something. And you got the terrorist police at your house like checking, what did he just get delivered in white powder form in a big bag?
No, we're fine. They wouldn't come for that. They only come to our house if we say naughty words in the UK.
Right, you got to put a meme online with a picture of the salt saying something bad about somebody, and then they'll just come and arrest you. Yeah.
Can I ask you then, Chef, just out of curiosity, Himalayan salt, when you get the pink salt, it was a big thing when I was doing like my fitness side of things and stuff like that. Is that the same? Is there no additives in that?
So all salt is technically the same. Now, Himalayan salt, the pink is from a different mineral. Okay. That salt was created under whatever conditions billions of years ago, and there's other minerals, and that's why there's pink salt, purple salt. You got all kinds of salt. Then you got the homemade ones, not homemade, but the designer salts where they add essence of rosebud to it. It's rosebud salt. Well, they basically dissolve the salt in hot water, add rose petals or something to it, heat it, and then they re-dry it again. So now it's just salt with a nice rosy color to it.
Yeah. So like this one here is one of the is the Celtic sea salt with potassium, because that's the way it formed, with extra potassium in it.
Right.
So it's higher in potassium and lower in the sodium, which is supposed to be healthier. So that's just one. But so you do your research on these.
But
I'm not giving medical advice on this. Do your research.
But that makes no difference to the preserving and stuff like that. It would preserve as well.
It sort of does. So sodium chloride has its own properties versus potassium chloride. They'll do similar things, but in food processing and preserving, potassium chloride is not on the list. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
So you want sodium chloride, which is why I was looking at the pool salt, because it's pure sodium chloride. I could pack a whole pork loin in there in a tub of salt, which is what they did on the ships back in the 1600s, 1700s.
Yeah.
They packed their meat in salt, and they just pulled it out. It was salty as hell, but they just pulled it out and rinsed it off, and then ate it, because you can eat it raw at that point. And you've killed all the bad bacteria. Any of the left bacteria in there is good. Doesn't hurt you unless it's aerated or.
Another law they changed in the UK is they stopped people from, like you've got natural herbalists, people that sort of grow plants, and they say to the neighbor, oh, this is good for a headache, this is good for a cold. Well, what they did in the UK is they've banned that, and they've said you've got to be a registered herbalist to be able to hand out sort of herbs.
They kind of do that in the States too.
If you said, oh, my grandma used to, when I was sick, my grandma used to give me this, so it's just getting to the point where it's ridiculous now.
No, they want you to buy their Rockefeller medicine. That's all they want.
I'm waiting for the first person to be arrested in this country for giving a cure for hiccups to somebody.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite cure for hiccups is stick up behind them and grab it and go boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, works for my daughters for years. They hate me for it, but it worked.
Yeah. All right, I want to address this question here because years
What do you mean you want to
years
address
ago,
I'm the one that had a problem with it.
I worked construction, underground construction. We installed water lines, everything from 6-inch water lines up to 10-foot water lines diameter. And every water line we'd get a little thing of, depending on the size, we would take a little mastic, smear it on the inside of one of the joints of pipe, and put, depending on the size, how many of the little things of pool shock in there.
Those are pellets. Yep.
The little pellets, tablets, we put that in there. And there was a little chart book we had, tell us, all right, this so many pipes, we got to do this. And we got to do so many for the diameter of the pipe. Anyways, yes, it would sterilize. We fill full of water, pressure test it.
It sanitizes, doesn't sterilize. 2 words.
Yeah, sanitize it. We'd leave it under pressure for 72 hours, and it would sanitize the pipe. But then we had to attach an attachment on the end, so when we drained the water to flush it out, we were adding a dechlor agent to it to neutralize the pool shock, so we could just put it in the storm drain and send it out to the ocean.
Yeah.
So but
using pool shock, yes, I looked into that years ago, back in, I forget what year it was. One of the major years of the apocalypse is coming tomorrow. And yes, you can use pool shock as long as it's sodium hypochlorite to sanitize non-potable water. You still want to strain it. The amount to do that, I don't remember off the top of my head. You kind of need test strips or a test kit to make sure you're at whatever ppm. I'm not even quoting anything. My problem is, and Gil knows this, he laughed at me, I had a case of it I bought. It was cheap. I bought a case that was in my garage. Shut up, Gil. It was in my garage.
No. My dad had the problem of just regular salt doing the same thing.
Yeah, but anyway, so I had pool shock over there. They were in bags. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And randomly over the years, I'd smell a little whiff of chlorine or something. Like, okay, yeah, it's pool shock, whatever. Well, what I didn't realize is in this corner of the garage, I hadn't moved anything over there in years. I decided to go looking at it because I got a whiff of it one night. I'm like, I got to see what's going on. Oh, no. It all gassed off. Every paint can on the shelf was rusted beyond recognition. I lost tools. One of my shelf units is half rotted on the corner because the chlorine gas coming off just destroyed everything metal. So, I got rid of that box real quick, cleaned up what I could. And, so, sure, pool shock for sanitizing water, I guess. Look into it. I'm not going to say yes or no. I heard it can.
Because
I heard it can, but you need to test things and know what you're using, and I don't have any of the details on it anymore.
Pool shocks between brands and stuff have other chemicals added to it.
Right.
And those other chemicals are a no-no to mix in, to put in drinking water.
Yeah, and bleach, everyone's like, I'll have bleach to sanitize. Well, that's fine, but bleach gas is off too. Yeah. It's like when you walk into a hotel, you smell the chlorine from the swimming pool. Yeah, it's gassing off. It's the wrong chlorine, but it's gassing off. Clorox doesn't last forever in a jug. I found that out one time too. I put a quart in a 5-gallon bucket with some other stuff in there. Oh, it destroyed the entire bucket inside.
What when it comes to like bleach, you can buy the powdered crystals to make bleach, and so long as they're sealed in a plastic container, that is airtight, it'll last forever because there's no oxygen to interact with it. And you can make bleach whenever you want, and you can add so much to so many gallons of water to sanitize it. But you have to get online. You can get it online, the MSDS sheets for each brand of whatever you're going to look and try to get. With for if you're storing water in a non-sanitized container, yes, I got the book over here on the shelf over here, and it says so many drops per gallon of water that is clean. so many drops of per gallon of water that is cloudy and of bleach, and it'll do it. And it will, after it's done, it will, when you open up the container 5 years from now, you'll smell the chlorine because it's kind of gassed off to the surface, and you let it air out and stuff. But the problem is all the oxygen is also gassed off to the surface, and you have what's called flat water, and it tastes nasty. How do you make it taste great again? Well, after you get you open up say I would open this up and, get up and just blow all the, any chlorine gases and off of it, get fresh air on it, seal it back up and shake it up.
Oxygenate it, yep.
Oxygenate it, and oh wow, now it tastes like fresh mountain spring water.
Can I make a prep suggestion for people that haven't already? That's less than $10, and it's a water purity indicator.
Yeah.
It costs next to nothing. Like say, you get it for less than $10 on Amazon or a local shop, something like that, and it's worth having just to check.
Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to grab something here.
Okay, Gil.
Where is it? There it is. All right, so this is the cert handbook. The yellow kind of goes with the green screen. First real page of information.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So, second thing I want to show you is this is a UV water purification pen. So you have a glass of water, you stick it in there, and turn it on for what the directions inside say, and it kills bacteria and everything, and the stuff that the UV light will kill. And I got this on Amazon.
Yeah, I've seen those.
How much did you pay for that on Amazon?
Give me a second to look it up.
Yeah, some people got them in their bug out bags.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those Berkey water filters. Actually, mine's Alexa Pure. And yeah, it'll take out 99.999% of pretty much everything, except for certain chemicals, which you just don't want to dip it out of a puddle next to a chemical company or a junkyard. But yeah, it'll purify my water. I haven't used it or needed it yet, but I got one. I bought it years ago, and it's not going anywhere.
I use mine all the time.
Yeah, actually, I told my wife we should start using it because the water in our town here is crap.
Yeah.
And but it takes up space on the counter. And she's like, oh, I don't want to take up space. I'm like, fine. I filter it to a 0.1 micron with filters, but it still leaves some stuff in there.
All right. The seller I bought this from on Amazon is no longer selling it there. But this was $49.95 when I got it in 2010. So
that's not a bad price for it.
Yeah, and for what it is one of those emergency things where if we're out bugging out or whatever, trying to get home. I got one in my get home bag. I got two when I did it. And so if I need to drink water, that if I don't have enough water with me, I can, run it through my portable filter, and then I can hit it with that to make sure I kill any bacteria in the water that the filter didn't take out. Now, boiling water works so long as there's no chemicals in the water.
Yeah, and the problem is when it's chemicals in the water.
All boiling water does is kill bacteria that's in the water.
Viruses.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say the V word, but yeah.
I mean, it'll kill most pathogens and amoebas and things that'll get you.
See, if you genuinely, it's very rare that you'll get a V word in the water. But if that's what you're concerned about, if it goes through something like your Berkey or your charcoal filter, stuff like that, the last thing to do is boil it. So just put it through the filter, then boil it, and that's.
Right.
I mean, and people do say, "Oh, you lose all the vital minerals and stuff like that." It's a tiny percent. It's a tiny percent. You're getting all that back. You know, supplement, do whatever you need to.
Eat the right food, and you don't worry about it.
Exactly.
It's like distilled water is good for you. It's like, yes, it sort of is, but unfortunately, distilled water is like a magnet. It has no attached ions to it, so when it goes to your system, it absorbs things and leaves. So you can actually lose minerals. You can actually lose minerals in your body by drinking too much distilled water.
And all the same thing with distilled water, and a lot of people are going to hate hearing this. Reverse osmosis water does the same thing. It since it removes all the minerals and everything out of the water. That's why the astronauts, when their water purification systems are reverse osmosis, they got to take mineral supplements.
But again, supplements is something I prep and keep anyway. So I mean, for me, that's a better way around it.
And all right, example here. Since we're on water again, so those that don't know, I am a quarter mile from the Snake River here in Idaho. However, up the road from me is Idaho Falls, then Wrigley.
And you froze.
So I got several big cities up the road. Guess where they have stuff drain off to? The Snake River.
Yeah.
Storm drains and stuff drain to the Snake River.
Yeah, you get all that fun stuff from the cars with oil leaks and that, and antifreeze leaks, and it goes into the storm drain. And
even better than that is all the stuff for agricultural use, that the oversprays that get not on the fields but on the roadways and stuff. It goes into the Snake River
Welcome
too.
back, Gary.
And so, if I, I got a big source of water there, but I got to run it through my sand filter with my, I got my big UV filters to run it through as well. The 35 watt UV filters, got 3 of them. I have charcoal filters. I'm talking like 15-gallon barrels, sand filter, 15-gallon barrel, charcoal filter, and stuff to run that through to get all that crap out of it. And then, when I test it, if there's any question about it, then I'm going to run it through a distiller. And of course, then I have from my water filter system, I have the mineral things to add minerals back into it. So I'll just run it through that. So I'll add minerals back to it. So water, you got to check the sources of your water, including your tap water. Just ask the people in Flint, Michigan about their tap water. It was so contaminated with lead, it was illegal to drink it.
Yeah, we've had about 3 boil your water warnings off the government this year in certain areas because
every time there's a water main break, there's a boil water alert because the water mains are so old and they leak crap into it. And boil water for the next 10 days, at least 10 minutes, and just shower in it. Don't use it in your mouth. And we get that here in the States all the time. We get a water in the wintertime. These old antique water mains down in the DC area and stuff. Oh yeah, they just rupture, and a 6-foot water main just sends a tsunami of water down the street, wiping out cars and stuff. And then there's a boil water alert.
As it freezes around the cars and everything, so the cars can't move. But water is probably water is the number one failure point of all preppers.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
People say, "Oh, I got filters and stuff." I don't care. It's still the number one failure point of all preppers because you may have filters. Do you have 10 years worth of filters?
Exactly. It's funny because you told me, Gil, because I told you, I said, I got.
That would be a lot of water filters for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is how long is the event going to be where you can't use the water? And if it is a real, not these imaginary SHTF things going on, a real SHT event or a Tawaki event, which lasts even longer, where you're not going to have a utility water system coming back up online, how long is it going to be before your stream you're planning on being your water source is no longer contaminated, and it's now running fresh, clean water again?
Yep.
And nobody upstream is contaminating it.
That's the thing. You always got to know what's upstream from where you're at.
Yeah.
Crap flows downhill, right?
Just to tick everybody off, there are 3 rules of 3. Only 3. Number 1 rule: 3 days without water, the average person dies. Rule number 2. Wait, sorry, no, scratch that. That's the rule number 2. Rule number 1: 3 minutes without air, the average person dies. Rule 2: 3 days without water, the average person dies. Rule 3: 3 weeks without food, the average person dies. And anybody say, "Oh, that's it. Well, so many hours without shelter, you die." Bullshit. Pardon my language. I've been out in the sun on the beach all day without shelter. I'm still here. Oh, I've been up in the mountains for 3 days tracking down people that were lost to rescue them. 3 days without shelter. I'm still here. I'm sorry.
I mean, people will argue and say, "Oh, well, I can go 3 or 4 days." What he's talking about is averages on 3 days.
Person. Yeah.
Remember the amount of things that affect that are a massive list. Whether it's your physical health, your environment, because 3 days without water in the north of England is going to be a bit different for 3 days without water in central Texas. So lots of factors come into that. That's just a ballpark average.
Yeah, that's what the rules of 3 are. This is the for average person. This is what happens.
Now I'm a little overweight, so I could probably go 4 weeks without food, but I still need water.
Yeah. During the Loma Prieta earthquake, when by San Francisco, when many of the buildings in San Francisco waterfront fell down, and the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge had the one piece slip out and do what it was supposed to do, but they called it a collapse. There was a gentleman trapped in his car in Oakland where the double-deck freeway system pancaked. 4 days, they finally were able to get him out. They weren't able to get to him. He was still alive, severely dehydrated. And they go, "Great, we're going to save him." And they didn't take into the fact that he was being pinned this entire time. So basically he had like a tourniquet across his lap for his legs. As soon as they released it, though, yes, you know exactly what happened. Within 30 minutes, he was dead from the toxic blood, but he survived water-wise because he was in the shade, cool concrete. He wasn't sweating, and they didn't have shock pants to put on him.
Yeah.
To take care, to stop that, and tourniquet to basically act as a tourniquet to keep the bad blood in his legs, so they could get him to the hospital and transfuse that blood out and do it. But 3.5, 4 days, and they said he was looking fine. He was dehydrated, gave him some water, he was doing fine. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Gil was telling me a while ago, I store water, and I think I got 6 15-gallon plastic barrels. They're white. They had chlorine in them before, and I know what was in that, so I just cleaned them out. And of course, my dog's barking because I'm talking. But so I have them downstairs, but they're on concrete. And Gil told me, he's like, "Yeah, don't do that because it messes the water up." So at this point, my wife and I both know, okay, I got water. It's still there. It's been down there for probably 12 years. Ain't going anywhere. We'll use that to flush the toilets and maybe wash dishes in. But I'm not going to drink it and use it for food. Even filtering it may not help it, but whatever. So I just I have another plan and another thing going on with water storage, because you need, I forget how many liters a day you need per person to survive, just in general, like a gallon a day or
gallon a day average for the year. Wintertime, you may use a little bit less. Summertime, you may use a little bit more, but it averages out to a gallon per day per person of drinking water, not cooking water, not washing your hands water, just drinking water.
Another fun little thing I told people, I was like, look, you open up that can of corn and you strain out the juice and dump it down and drink. No. You save all that. You save it right away and you cook your rice in it, or drink it, eat it, throw it in the pot with everything, and just use it because it's water. It's canned water. It just has a flavor of corn or peas or beans or whatever it was. Yeah, drink it. You need it. It's sterilized. It's clean. It was in a can. You're fine.
For the same reason, if you, tuna is a good one, but it's the same reason if you get canned fruit, try and get the one that's in its juices, not in syrup or sugar or something.
Yeah, or
like
water.
that.
Light syrup or water. Yeah. I mean, the sugar's not going to kill you. It'll help you with some energy, but it's short-lived energy, and it'll burn you out quick.
Okay, let me get this up here.
Interesting. I wonder what percentage of people do you think will lose in a true Teotihuacan through bad water and dysentery?
95%.
You reckon?
In the United States, in the cities, it's in the cities like Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco. Excuse me. We actually were saying 97 to 100%.
Wow.
Yeah, and that doesn't include the ones killing each other.
Not just the bad water, it's the secondary effects.
Yeah.
Dead bodies, disease, and it's just, and then you got disease, you got bodies that are rotting, contaminating any rainwater and runoff and stuff. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to share something here. One of the ways that you can, at least here in the United States, that people are sharing, are doing saving water. This is my water storage. 275 gallons per tote. Let me jump it forward a little bit here. Oh, more totes. This is inside my shop. So
that's assuming you have that kind of space to do it, or you're limited to, 10 gallons or whatever size containers you can buy at the store if you're in an apartment or in the burbs or whatever.
There we go.
Where you live.
So I wonder what
six of those for water storage.
I wonder what the laws are in different countries about the military being able to come to our houses.
No, that's crap. They're not going to. The military is not going to go to every single house looking to steal your cans of beans.
Is that a fallacy? No. Is that a fallacy, or is that just another thing that
in the United States, in the Constitution, there's one of the articles of in the Constitution prohibits that. Other countries do not have that in their government.
But didn't they override that with saying that FEMA could go and take your stuff if they wanted to at one point recently?
They think they can. They think they can. Someone's trying to do that, but the courts will already slammed some of it down already, and they're trying to rework it again. But no, it's the military is not going to be able to go house to house to get food and stuff.
My theory on that is if they've got to the stage that they're going into private citizens' homes for supplies, they're not a working military. They're rogue, because I don't think by the time they're at the stage they're knocking on my door, there's no way that's
the military has their own food supplies, and it's stable food supplies. They're not going to take your food because they're not going to come and take my two tubs of freeze dried whatever, because they can't trust it.
Yeah.
Now, when they take it and throw it away, who knows? But, I don't think that's ever going to be an issue and that we're going to have to worry about. I'd be more worried about roving gangs coming in to steal your stuff.
Yes. All right. So about the contamination from the plastic container, those plastic containers I got from the distillery up the road here. Mm-hmm. The only thing that had in it was 193 proof potato alcohol. And when I cracked it open, guess what it smelled like? Alcohol. And so those were sanitized, sterilized, whatever you want to call it, before I cracked it open.
So now, did you buy 5 empty and 1 full? Yeah.
No, not yet. Not yet. The guy up there, I just got to get a hold of him again to find out how much it's going to cost to buy a full one.
Yeah, probably way more than what you want to spend.
Probably. But as far as and so when I got these, that was all right, these have been sanitized, there's no I don't know about contamination from it. I felt our water our city water comes straight out of a well from the ground. And so the only thing I might do, I might put a tablespoon or two of bleach in there, but that's it. Now the thing about the plastic, problem with the microplastics varies depending on the plastic.
Yep.
Food grade plastic containers that are thick, that don't flex, give off less microplastics than that little half liter or 1 liter water bottle that goes crinkle, crinkle, crinkle when you grab hold of it. Because every time it's crinkling, it's releasing microplastics. Yes.
You mean like these?
No, I mean even the weaker ones than that. The ones that you buy in the store that are all me. I mean, you get in the case of it, and the whole thing's going as you pick the case up, because it's all that gives off a lot of microplastics. These, if I fill it up, I don't move it. It's sitting there. It's not going to be giving off hardly any microplastics. It's when the plastic starts flexing, it starts giving off a lot of plastics.
Is it something to be concerned about in SHTF though? I mean, is there going to be a bunch of hippies dehydrated and dead at the supermarket because they can't touch the microplastic bottles, or is it water just water at the end of the day, whether it's got a bit in or not?
Here's the thing that let me take care of this one here. Hang on here. COUN. So basically, what I do, that's going for the whole thing. I don't want that. Let me go back to this one here. Channel content. So for my water, all my water, even out of the top, goes through this. Here, so here we go. Get this up in here. This is what I use. You get it up here to go here on it. Let me skip forward through it here. All right, there we go. Present, share, entire screen. There it is. So this here is what I use. In the top part here, where you fill it up with water, is a ceramic dome filter that has this colloidal silver lining on the inside, but this the micron size on this is 0.2 or 0.02, basically less than half a micron, less than a quarter of a micron for the water to go through. And then it's got a 5-stage filter in there with different mineral rocks and the charcoal in it. The bottom one, there's charcoal on it. And so it goes, all my water goes through that. Yes, this is plastic, but it's hard plastic. It doesn't flex anything else. I'm trying to find a version of this that's stainless steel. Berkey does not qualify. Berkey has been banned in several states for false advertising. It does not do what it says it does.
Well, actually, there's a different reason behind that, but I don't think you and I want to argue about that right now. Yeah. Berkey was banned because they said it removed pesticides or something, and because of that, the FDA went after him, saying it's a pharmaceutical, and they don't have the license for it. So
it was more than that. It was more than that too. There was several states have done it, saying no, you're advertising just for what you take out normally. Doesn't meet. But anyways, so when I find a good stainless steel one, I'll be moving to the stainless steel one, but it's got to have a glass view tube on the side so I can see what the level of water is, whether I need to add more water to it. There's nothing worse than that thing going dry when, and all of a sudden you got to wait several hours for the water to go through it.
Yeah, Alexa Pure is the other one. They're basically the same as what Berkey was. Yeah.
But
I'm not going to play games with that. So.
No, but Alexa Pure has better filters. They actually pass their certifications.
I just got a budget one to do a comparison because I've got a Berkey, and it's a Vivor one, and running through it, and like I say, I got the purity tester thing for the water, and it was exactly the same as the Berkey. No problem.
Yeah, that's a TDS tester. It just tests total dissolved solids. I have one.
Yeah.
It doesn't test for bacteria, but bacteria, the size of bacteria, assuming the filter is at the size they're saying it's at a 0.02 micron, bacteria can't get through there.
Yeah.
So only the water molecules and
redemption
certain
gets
other
the
minor
same.
things get through it. So that's why your TDS tester will show pretty much zeros or 0, 1, 2 or whatever, which it's literally just water at that point.
Yeah. And like I say, if you were concerned about to that level, you'd be boiling it after that point anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, for me, for water, I got, 6 times 275 gallons. So I got enough for me, my wife, and my 2 boys. I got a full year's worth of drinking water there. I got another one. I can go down here to the Snake River if I need to and pump water out and just start running it through all the filters and everything else to get the crap out of it. But
one of those filters for my Lexapure, it'll do 1,200 gallons, 12,000, some ridiculous amount of water. And if they get a little dirty or funky on the outside, you just need a Scotch-Brite pad and just scrub it off. And you can do that a bunch of times before it gets too small.
Yeah.
And then you throw it out and get another one. I bought a lot of spares. So
yeah, and that's one of the things too to consider. If you have a good water purification system, all right, you filter your water, you got pure water there, and your filter's starting to grow really slow because it's got crap building up on it. You can take it out and you can pressure force that clean filtered water back through it to force everything out of its pores.
Right.
That's another way of cleaning it too.
It doesn't get deep into the pores. It's just mostly within the first, I don't know, 10, 20 thousandths of an inch.
Yeah,
isn't much, and you can scrape it off or flush it off, and you start all over again. That's that when your filter time starts decreasing badly.
Yeah,
you put a gallon on the top, and it takes way longer to get a gallon at the bottom. It's starting to get clogged, so clean it off and start over.
Basically, I will fill the top container is 2.5 gallons. I will fill that up at night when the grandkids have been here and drank all my water.
Yeah, by morning it's on the bottom. Yeah.
By morning, I got about this much water left to do. About that much water left to go.
Yeah, the lower it gets, the
slow. The problem is, if you pour water in there and it's going drizzle, 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 it ain't filtering the water. It's got the holes are too big.
The lower your water level in the reservoir tank on top gets, the slower it goes because there's less water pressure pushing on it to get it through.
Yep.
So, anyways, water is a pet peeve of mine. I get agitated about some of the things on water.
I would say that's a similarity across the world, though, rather than a difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, water is life.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, some people are like, my water's fine. I got my little different one that just screws on my faucet here, and it flows through at high speed, and it filters everything out.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
That's what the man on TikTok told them happened, so that must be true.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, basically, for a gravity-fed filter for the size of the ceramic tiles and stuff, it should be dripping like drip, 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 and that's it. And it shouldn't be a drizzle. And so, yeah. Now if you have one with several of them on there, I can't remember the brand. They had like 4 filters on it, ceramic filters.
Yeah. Lexapure did the same thing.
No. Wait. They hooked it all up. This is a heavy canister. It locks on like a pressure canner. They hit it with 100 pounds of pressure on it. And our water's going through it because it's forcing it through rather than gravity feeding it. But it is going through at the 0.0 or 0.2 microns or whatever it is, small, that it's doing its job, but it has the pressure to force it through. However, it's also forcing the contaminants, the pieces, farther into the filter as well.
So what's your thoughts and opinions on these Grail cups that are instantly pushed through and things like water to go? There's all sorts of different brand ones, but you see the advert, they fill it from a river, they squash it down, and then they drink in full speed.
You got
straight away.
like Life Straw and stuff like that. Sure,
Yeah,
you're not gonna drink your gallon of water a day hovering over this little tiny stream or runoff somewhere drinking water. You're gonna get enough in you, but that'll get you through for a short time. But those straws are only rated for, I think, like 10 gallons before they're so clogged up. It's like, I don't know if everybody knows what a Capri Sun is. Those little juice box bags. You're sucking on that so hard your cheeks are imploding.
What's so funny about those Life straws? There was a different brand, a generic version of Life Straw. Will Russell of Just in Time Prepping, got it, and he was talking about it, and everyone was telling, did you try sucking through it?
Mm-hmm.
He came back, did another video. He tried putting into some regular tap water to suck through it. He could not get a drop through it.
You've got to use a bag and you've got to drip feed it through and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
if you're going to do that, you may as well go the whole hog and get a proper filter, though, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, the Life straws, you're supposed to be able to suck it through. Well, no, it's not going to work. And some of the straws, they say, you can do 10,000 gallons for the life of the Life straw or whatever the brand is. Problem is, you're supposed to every now and then you're supposed to backwash the filter,
flush it out.
To flush it out.
Yeah,
and the thing is, that testing on a lot of these is done in a lab with clean water.
Yeah, I bought some from Lexapure. I think it's a 500 milliliter cup with the straw in it, and but the filter on the bottom of the straw is like inch. It's like an inch by 2 inches centimeters. It is, I guess, it's like 2 centimeters by 4, or 3.5 centimeters size. But it gives you more surface area to suck through, and they work.
Yeah.
I bought one for each one of my kids, and plus one for me and the wife, and we have it. One of my daughters used it. She's like, because her water in her town was terrible. So she just filled the cup up and drank out of that all day. She's like, this is great. She's like, you have to suck a little bit hard on it, but not really bad. And then when it got clogged up or whatever, she cleaned it like one time, it worked, and then she just threw another filter on there.
Yeah, I have I got Camelback has a plastic half.
Are you trying to tell me this is false advertising? We can't just suck a puddle.
It depends on what I'm saying is the manufacturer.
He doesn't exactly have the straw in the water, and he doesn't. His cheeks are puffed out. So yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah. So some of them, you're trying to suck. So the filter is so tiny, like 0.000 micron. The water won't even go through it.
Yep.
But
it clogs it up instantly with the swamp water. Yeah.
Yeah. But some of them, they're just cheap knockoffs, and they don't work because they don't expect people to test it out.
No, they figure by the time you need it, you're going to drink through it and you'll get sick and die. What are you going to do? Get your money back on it? Good luck. They're out of business.
Yeah. Now I do have a Sawyer over here. I haven't tested it. I got one that was given to me. I did all the research on that particular one. It is name brand. Yeah. And that is one if I need to, I can use, but that's not my main supply of water. That's to get me to my main supply of water.
They're great for bug out bags and stuff, and usually they come with all the stuff to back flush them as well. Yeah. So they're quite good.
Beware the dodgy. If you're going to get a Life straw, get a Life straw. If you're going to get a Sawyer Mini, get a Sawyer Mini. Don't get something that looks like a Sawyer Mini or something that looks like a Life straw, because it's a massive business industry as well. There's a lot of gimmicks. A lot of people buy stuff and they never even use it.
Yeah, you mean like when Amazon says people who looked at this also looked at these because they're cheaper? Yeah, no.
No, it's the one that looks exactly the same on Temu or AliExpress.
Yes,
but it's only £3.54.
Yeah, we make the same ones for them. We just don't put their label on it, so it's cheaper through us. Sure, it is.
I mean, would you trust your life on anything that costs less than $5? Let's just throw that out there, right?
Well, if it was purification tablets for £5, $5. I'd trust that. But
I've got an abundance of them. Yeah.
All right.
And that's another thing as well.
CD's question here. What are your thoughts on the survival tabs, meal replacement survival tab?
So these on about the is he on about like the 7 Seas do them? If you're looking it up, 7 Seas do them on Amazon. I'm gonna get some to taste them. Apparently they're horrendous, but it's literally a block of nutrients.
Ah, okay. So it's
I've
sort
got
of like
some on screen actually because I was looking at them.
Yeah,
Let
put
me
it up.
share that.
It's like a vitamin brick. There's not actually, I don't think there's any caloric content in there. It's just all vitamins and minerals that your body needs. So it's more of a water supplement. Oh no, that's the energy bars. Yeah, those are different.
That's like the oh crud.
Yeah, the stuff they used to make way back in the day. It's fat. It's it's lard and or tallow and
No, it's not even tallow. It's Crisco, oats, and other stuff all mixed together, pressed together. And
I think this is what he's on about. These 7 Seas ones.
CB, is this what you're talking about? Well, she says they claim they developed them for astronauts.
Yeah,
they're
whatever.
like a large tablet pill. Oh.
That's
okay, hang on a
that's
second
sci-fi
here.
stuff where you drop the pill on the plate, put a drop of water in there, and boom, you got a 7-course meal waiting for you. Yeah, that's it.
Like the rehydrating pizza in Back to the Future. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Just put in the little dome thing covered up, and boom, you got a hot steamy pizza ready to go in 10 seconds.
Okay, let me the survival. Okay, and I'm going to type this in as spelled the SU survival tabs. And okay, hang on. I'm going to throw it up here. I think this is what she's talking about. And so,
that must be those she means.
Images.
Is this just not like is this not a gimmicky multivitamin?
Okay, 8 tabs. They did 96 tabs. You know, that had a long shelf life.
What is it?
Hang on.
What are the ingredients? Yeah.
That's I'm gonna look for ingredients on it here. Ingredients. The boom. Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get some of these and try them.
Ingredients here. Calories. Each tablet has amount per serving. Doesn't say. Oh, serving size is 12 tablets. So 12 tablets contain 240 calories.
12 is a serving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it goes to your sodium. There's
I got 20 calories per tablet. It's probably mostly sugar.
Yes. Get some Kendall mint cake. That's pure sugar. That'll do you better.
Yeah, and it has your vitamin A, calcium, thiamine, riboflavin. It's really hard to read this here. Vitamin B12, folic acid. Yeah,
it's a vitamin tablet with some sugar in it. What does it say what the ingredients are? That's sort of telling you what the nutritional value is.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Saturated fat less than 65 grams. Let's see, where's the actual full?
12 per serving, 12 grams of sugar and only 4 grams of protein. You're not going to survive very long on that.
No.
Well, hit the little box on the left there, Gil. It should blow it up bigger.
Well, I'm about it. It's not saying exactly what the ingredients are here.
What's the first ingredient?
Here we go. Let me go ahead and do this. Hang on here. Save images. Send it into green screen. Bubble boom. Bring it up here. It's not going to open up big, is it? No.
I've got a big one here. Do you want me to share it? Giggity. That was a terrible phrase, but
it's not. I'm not getting the. Oh, here we go. Ingredients on the bottom of this one here. So why wouldn't this save?
Because it's saving the whole thing.
Yeah, it's saving the whole thing.
I've got a quick grab here if you want to pull this up, Shadow.
Yeah, it's very hard to find out the ingredients are here.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, just go ahead and take me to here. Let me go ahead and put him up.
Here we go. So we've got ingredients on the nutrition facts on the left, ingredients on the right here.
Yeah.
Can you read that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
non-fat dry milk solids. Okay. Sucrose.
Sucrose.
Oh, there's your sugar.
Vegetable oils, including sunflower. Okay. In other words, crap oil.
Yeah, ascorbic
Calcium,
acid to keep it
phosphate.
from deteriorating, and then all your vitamins and stuff are added. So your top 4 items are your biggest volume ingredients.
Well,
Yeah.
So non-fat
folic
dry
acid,
milk.
so it's good for pregnant people.
Sure.
Phosphate,
Aside from the seeds from the nut flowers, but yeah, or nut oil, seed oils.
ascorbic acid.
Now, like this, it says vegetable oils, including sunflower and or safflower oil. It didn't say what the other ones are that they, So it could have your rapeseed oil, aka canola oil, which is very bad for you.
Can we
And
just
other stuff.
outline the biggest flaw with this whole thing? So my advice
It's
would
not
be not to
food.
get these. Well, it's not food. It's 240 calories for a serving. Yeah, to
Yeah,
meet any sort of daily allowance and have any sort of energy to do anything, you're going to have about 10, 15 servings a day.
Yeah.
So 20 calories per tablet. You're going to use 20 calories just chewing, blinking your eyes, and digesting it. So that's dumb. Period. It's not even at a break-even point. It's like you're doing something that's creating negative calories for your body, and you're not going to see. Okay, great. It might be great for the kids for a snack if they're little, if they taste good, but it might help them a little bit. It's not going to solve your hunger problem. It just give you something in your body, mostly sugar.
Oh,
And-
These will
supposed
not
to be
fill you
used
up.
if you're down to eating bugs.
Yeah, I'd rather eat those than bugs, I guess. So we'll go with that.
You'll get more protein in the bug bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
Oh,
But key selling points: gluten-free and non-GMO.
Yay, whatever. Yeah.
I like the one comment down there by Kelly I. It's gluten free. Ah! Runs away. Oh.
And they even say on their own media here that percentage daily value are based on 2,000 calorie diet. So this is 240. So you're literally going to have about 8 or 9 servings of this a day, is what they're
You'd have
saying.
to eat that whole
Exactly.
can. You'd have to eat that whole. Yeah, how many servings per container? You'd literally have to like speed eat that entire thing, and you might break even for the day
Oh,
if
all right,
you have
the
to go
big-
outside and cut wood.
The big container had 180 tabs in it. At least the one container here does. The other one,
Okay,
see what the other
so
one
that's
says.
that's 14 servings. Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
great.
So in other words, that big container is one day for one
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
So I think the question was, what do we think of them? I think it's a resounding no from the panel, is what I'm getting. If anybody would
Yeah.
like to jump in and
And like CB said there, so the consensus is just take a multivitamin. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Take a
basically to take a
multivitamin and
multivitamin.
keep a bag of croutons in a jar. You're better off. You get a little gluten out of it, a little fiber, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a few calories. And hey, throw some oregano in there and make it Italian croutons.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I get more calories and nutrition out of a cup of soup, a little single cup soup serving. So
Yeah.
I think I get more calories out of having a cigarette at this point. And I don't even have to eat it. I can eat it if I want and probably make me
Oh,
stoned. But
yeah, I gotta look something up here. This is gonna be good.
you probably get more calories out of that vape pen.
I think there's actually a lot of sugar in it, to be fair.
All right. Okay. Before I say anything, okay. Yeah, a little bouillon cube, the little square bouillon cubes, 5 calories, 44% of your sodium, and
Yeah, pemmican. That's it. CB reminded us that other stuff that we saw was called basically pemmican.
yeah.
Yeah, pemmican is really good. It lasts for basically forever.
Yep. Reminds me, I have to go. I have to go stir my my giant pot of pork rinds.
Oh yeah. So
I found the only thing worse than them tablets.
Okay, back before they changed their name, when it was just Wise. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, when it was just Wise Food, not Ready Wise.
Yeah.
Before they had to restructure, because several of the bags, people would open them 6 months later, and guess what was inside? Black mold.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, they basically declared bank, whatever, and redid everything, did their facility, and yeah. And even now, whenever I check there are several sites that go out and they analyze all the foods and all those freeze-dried foods and stuff, and compare them and stuff. That one particular one is on the bottom. One of the ones that we tried after they redid their thing, my wife got one just to test it and opened it immediately, just in case. And it was like, oh, hell no, we ain't eating this. I won't even feed this to the dogs.
Right, so
That's why I make my own freeze dried MREs.
They sent me this to review on the channel. Now, I'll openly admit I love the mac and cheese. Sorry, I love the mac and cheese because we can't get decent mac and cheese over here anyway. So it was quite nice. The stroganoff was quite nice. Flavor wise, it was okay. When I drilled down into the nutrition and stuff like that, it was terrible. And one of the worst things is they've sent this to somebody to review online. 3 of the packets were just in Mylar sealed bags written on.
Yeah.
They weren't even in the branded packaging, 3 of the packets in there.
Yeah,
it was mad. So
were there oxygen absorbers in there?
This is what you want. Yeah, there's oxygen absorbers in every single one. That's what you want. That's your survival food. Lard with meat.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's literally what I got going on my stove right now. This lard.
Well, according to the Pacific Islanders, the number one survival food, which lasts forever if they had stopped eating it all, is Spam.
Yep. That's because it's pork fat. That's all it is.
Yeah. And it lasts forever, but they love it so much they keep going through their supply so fast they can't build up a food supply because they eat it.
The thing is, Spam's gone. I don't know if it's the same way you guys are, but Spam's gone the same way as corned beef over here, where it used to be one of the cheapest things you could get off the shelf in the supermarket,
because
and now it's more.
Spam is a survival food, so now we're going to charge more. They're going to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's, if you have a love-hate relationship with canned corned beef, I love it. I bought a whole bunch of it. It's got like a 7-year shelf life just on the label on the can. And I love, because I'll cut a slab off, throw it on some bread with some mustard, and I have a corned beef sandwich. I grew up on it. I love the way it tastes. My wife can't stand it unless I fry it in the pan and make corned beef hash out of it. Then she loves it.
See, I make a corned beef over here. As it goes into a pot with potatoes, water, gravy granules, stock, and it's just like and it breaks apart and it's beautiful. It's my favorite. Yeah. That is my favorite. And again, the missus, the same as yours, can't stand it. And also, she's Scottish, but I've got loads of canned haggis, which is the same for me. It's just loads of nutrition and loads of calories.
You can keep that. I have a Scottish background, so. Not going to say what clan I'm in, but I could.
Well,
she's actually Scottish. She can't stand it.
My wife is Clan Campbell from Scotland. I am Clan Patton from Ireland.
There you go.
Right.
Our kids are half Scottish, half Irish. They got tempers. Anyway.
But they can hold the drink, I bet.
The story on my clan is we got kicked out of England, so our kilt has a yellow stripe in it because we were too scared to fight for the queen or king.
Oh wow! See, my family's from the Royal Stuarts, so
yeah.
That makes you a royal pain in the butt. No, I'm just kidding.
Mrs. Urban Prepper would agree with you.
So here's the thing about Spam. In 1937, Hormel Foods made their first batch of Spam. They have
Yes.
just announced that they will be making their second run of second batch later this week.
How that Monty Python sketch was never picked up as an advertising campaign for them, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which one? Spam. Yeah, that one. Yep. Yeah, we're that old. I watched all the Monty Pythons many times, and I still do.
Brilliant.
Well, for those of you that love Monty Python, there is a game called Flux, and it has different things. But the Monty Python Flux is a card game, and you get extra points for quoting from Monty Python movies as you play the game.
Cool. Yeah, but do any of you have the 3-sided album? I do.
Nope.
So this was the joke that went with it. How many if anybody here knows what a record is, an LP, your record, your vinyl.
Yep.
How many grooves are on a vinyl, on a record? Everybody's like, oh my God, it's gotta be thousands. No, there's 2. There's 1 on each side. The needle has to follow a track. So there's 2, but the one Monty Python album had 2 grooves parallel on one side. So when you drop that needle down, you didn't know which episode you were going to get. Obviously, it was shorter because it's going twice as fast. But yeah, they made a 3-sided album. I got one. It freaked my kids out every time I played it because it would be sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's different. They're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, it's got 3 sides. It took me forever to make them realize there's a single groove on each side of a record. The needle's got to follow a path. It doesn't jump around.
You're making me buy something now. That Monty Python Flux card game is on Amazon.
Yeah. It is absolutely hilarious.
I don't know who to play with.
My wife was not a Monty Python fan. My boys and I had been playing Flux for a while. We got her to play Flux with us one time, and she was starting to get mad because she kept getting close, and the rules change on it. You got rules change cards and stuff. And I saw her starting to get mad. And so I noticed what she had, and I had a rule change card. I played the rule change card, and my son goes, "What are you doing? You just made her win." I go, "What? Well, what?" And she's sitting there. I won.
Got to make the wife happy sometimes, even if she doesn't.
Oh yeah.
So, Mike, you're gonna order that and do a live stream and play the game. That would be fun.
I'm not sure how many Monty Python. Most preppers must be Monty Python fans, right?
Yeah,
I'm not.
It's just a flesh wound. I'll bite you.
You don't like it, no?
No.
That's something that goes along with the title here. What sort of games and stuff do you add to your preps from different countries? What type of games do you put in to keep everybody sane and on good spirits?
Entertainment preps.
I put my Bible in my bug out bag. Spiritual. This is another thing. That's a good one that we haven't talked about. Is being prepared spiritually as well. A lot of people talk about food, clothing, equipment, gear. It's going to be no good to you if you're 100% frozen and where you're standing, because you've just seen, stupid amount of height wave or earthquake or the ground in front of you opening up, and thousands dying in one swoop. People talk about it. It's like it's going to be a walk in the park, and how many people are prepared? I mean, it's like some people imagine they're going to sit there, play cards, round a fire, singing songs. There's going to be people dying everywhere. It's going to be hard. There's going to be disease. It's going to be pestilence. It's going to be famine. People are going to be starving. They're going to want to kill you for your can of baked beans. It's going to be. There's going to be situations where people are going to want to have a heart attack on the spot for what they just saw in front of them out of fear. And so for me, having a Bible and being spiritually prepared, don't be one of those people that just sort of only goes to a church when there's a christening, when there's a wedding, when there's a funeral, and you look awkward walking in, walking out. You haven't got no idea what it's about. You know, they've done a good job of getting people scared of what is the Bible or religion and real religion. You know, I'm not talking about people that are just dressed up and do it for show and, you know, have got Rolls Royces and jets from all the money they've stolen. You know, there's real religion as well, visiting orphans and widows in their hour of need. You know, that's real religion, doing things without blowing the trumpet. You know, don't let your left hand know what the right hand is doing. So being spiritually prepared, people are going to be freaking out because they can't use their phone. Some people are going to be freaking out because they can't get their Friday night McDonald's that they've been doing for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, Shadow's got faith as well, and I've got faith. So things like taking the mick out of our Lord, it's not, you know, for me, it's not even funny, because, you know, there's going to come a time when people are going to, you know, maybe even say, people that don't believe might say, "Oh God, help me, save me."
Yeah. Hold this down. I'm pulling something up here that was last night.
I'm not being a downer. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
having some form of
Oh,
entertainment.
yes, you are.
It's
Just kidding.
nice having a puzzle, having yeah. But you know what? It's nice to see what colors people have got, because
Yeah.
you know, I make notes and stuff like that, and I think, well, you know, would I trust certain people in the SHTF? So for me, all right, yes, there are a lot of dodgy religious people out there, but there's also a lot of not dodgy religious people out there that are, you know, morally upright. I think that's a balance at the moment. It's sort of, you know, there's a balance in the world. If there was totally evil leaders, it'd be just kicking off already. But the fact that it's kind of gradually happening is maybe something's holding it back, or, you know, but it's going to kick off eventually. You know,
Yeah. One of the things you're talking about there, I'm going to share a thumbnail from one of my videos here because I think it fits. Reality check. And you notice it's Alice going down the rabbit hole. People like to think they're going to romance the disaster. They're trying to romanticize it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to have a reality check of what SHTF or Tawaki is going to be about. It's not going to be a bed of roses. It's not going to be, you know, ooh, I'm prepared. I'm going to be king of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be like the pioneers going across the prairies. It's going to be like the knights on the Crusades traveling all the way to the Holy Land. That was no picnic. That was not a picnic either. It's going to be, you know, migrating someplace different. You're not going to have everything with you of what you're used to.
Yeah. Really difficult subject in the fact that you can think you're mentally prepared and think you're going to react a certain way, but there is no way to train for that. There's no way to guarantee that until you're in that situation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very difficult subject to cover in that sense, because till you're in there, you could train in the military for 6 months, 12 months, but as soon as you're in that war zone, it's a different story. And I've seen people break down, you know, so it's good to try and think about it. It's good to prepare. Like Daryl says, if you're religious, prepared spiritually, etc. That's great to do. And it's probably the only thing we can do. But it's a very difficult subject to cover, because till you're there, till you're, you know, next to that fan, which proverbial poop is hitting, you're not going to know.
Yeah,
talking about like games and stuff to keep you occupied. Well, if people think, oh my God, I'm going to need a deck of cards to play with for what, 2 years? No, we're talking like short-term things like major power outage, stuff like that. You got cameras in the house, keep the kids occupied because you don't want them opening the fridge. have a couple games to play. Let's play Parcheesi. Let's play cards. Let's play war. Let's play something, anything, just to keep them occupied, so they don't, venture off or do something stupid to, until the power comes back on. I mean, but if we're talking like years here, sure, at some point you might have the time to play with a deck of cards or a game of checkers or something, or chess. But in the meantime, no, you're doing everything you can to keep yourself stable and get by. And you're not going to be sitting down like, I should be cutting firewood right now. Hell with it. I'm going to play a game of solitaire with my cards.
Go to any historical, like, living history museum where they've got stuff for kids as well. And you've got to think of how much they had to work in them times and how much effort everything took. And then the form of entertainment was a stick and a hoop. Yeah. So I mean, it's great to play. I've always got board games in. I've always got cards in because I like playing poker and stuff like that. So I've got them things in. But at the end of the day, if it's long term, then you just gotta. If you've got time for entertainment, you're gonna find it. You're gonna make your own anyway, right?
Now you might start playing poker with the guy up the road that also has some preps, and you have some preps, and you have enough, and you might start playing poker with. Okay, I'll bet you 2 bags of rice and 2 cans of peas. I'm all in.
I've got my poker chips right here. Water purity tablets. I've got a. I'll raise you 2.
That's a different kind of game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard work all the time. However, most of your work, 99% of your work is going to be done while the sun is up. And in the wintertime, there's more dark than there is sunshine in most areas where we're at. You were down in Florida. Florida, you're going to have a lot more sunshine. But, so in the wintertime, and it's raining out or snowing out, you're not going to be going out doing much other than chopping wood and bringing it in the house, maybe going out in the morning, doing the chores with the animals, milking the cows, milking the goats, whatever. But then you're back in the house and you're getting bored at times.
A great thing to push. I mean, it's great to force entertainment on children, but a great thing to push is hobbies, but practical hobbies, cross stitch, sewing, things like that. Things that they find entertaining during peacetime, and they can weave a blanket and stuff like that, but suddenly becomes an asset.
Yeah, leatherworking.
Yeah, definitely. Lost arts.
If SHU, would the Amish even know?
Yeah,
depends. They would know, and how bad it affects them depends on how strict they are to their
religion,
original core principles.
Yeah.
1800s.
I got Amish up in Pennsylvania that run the horse and buggy down to the local gas station, fill up their jug with gas, and they take it back and they run a generator, but the generator doesn't run the house. It's to run a piece of farm equipment or to run a tractor. It depends on how deep they are into their core values. I mean, some of them have ventured out a little bit. It's like, okay, well, the electric's not connected to my house, so we don't use electric in the house, but I need this tractor is going to get me further in the field so I can get more food. So, okay, the tractor runs on gas. It's technology, but it's an old tractor, so it has a carburetor. They can play the games all day long. And it depends on which group of Amish you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But
I also use an app on my phone for texting offline, and an app that broadcasts fire police monitor. Okay.
Have you tested the monitoring app offline though? I'd be curious to know how that's monitoring, unless it's
me too. Because if you don't have any internet at all, even Wi-Fi or from the cell towers.
I mean, I've got one on my phone which is linked to Meshtastic and a mesh node sort of thing. So that's like a local area network over distance that you can do. But I mean, for police monitoring, I'm sure it'd have to be hooked up to something else.
You're broadcasting into the mesh network, and then you're picking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What here in America, we have the NOAA weather radios, and there's different broadcast things. And so like if there's a hurricane going on or a tornado or something going on, some emergency like that, it'll broadcast and give the warning. Take shelter for tornado, evacuate to higher land. There is a tsunami coming in, and I don't know if you guys have that over there at all.
Don't do it, Pilgrim. Don't do it. Don't do it. Monopoly can tear families apart.
Yep,
Just
sure can.
throw that out if SHTF happens.
My brother, all right, I had 3 brothers and a sister, and in the 60s, we used to play that all the friggin' time. And we would start Friday night, and at a certain time, the parents would come in. All right, they write down who had what, go to bed. Next morning, do our chores and stuff. Everybody's done with their chores. Okay. Everything's still the same. All right, you can continue your game. We had to be finished by Sunday night. We were not allowed to go past Sunday night.
We had that with Risk in our house. A Risk campaign could last that long. And there was an unwritten rule in our house. If the cat knocks off your pieces during the night, they're casualties.
Our Risk games, all right. Our Risk games we played never lasted more than 2 hours. And my brothers hated me. That's all I'm going to say. They absolutely, and after a while, they would not play with me. They wouldn't play Risk. They wouldn't play Stratego.
Oh, Stratego. Oh, what a game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And most people don't even know what Stratego is.
Did you have the Colditz game?
The what?
Colditz.
Colditz.
Escape from Colditz. It was a World War II prison. Oh, that was the same generation, but that was another great game.
No, I did have one called Feudal, though, that could take 2, 4, or 6 players. That was kind of cool. All right.
I'm gonna have to go game shopping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to that, being spiritually prepared. I just wanted to go back to that just quickly. Is there any books out there, for example, that might cover mental preparedness in different scenarios? That would be an interesting book, like being mentally prepared for a tsunami, being spiritually mentally prepared for an earthquake, being spiritually prepared for different scenarios. That would be a very interesting book.
It would be.
Might be some tips on
Yeah.
on different situations, how to be prepared. Like someone might say, well, if you live near the sea or water, have a life buoyancy ring, for example.
Yeah. I've seen survival books that cover a bit of mental resilience and stuff like that. And there's a woman in the UK called Dr. Survival. She's a psychology, deals with the psychology of survival. She does talks and media. I'm not sure if she's got any books out. But yeah, it would be a great thing because I think being mentally prepared is the one thing we all skirt over.
Yep.
Because that's why I always say Rambo, because that's what people think in the back of their head. Everyone's the star of their own Hollywood movie, right?
All right. So I just did a search on Amazon. I just did a search on Amazon. Survival and emergency preparedness skills, mental, physical, spiritual readiness for uncertain times. Another one, survival for the mental ambush, resiliency, tactic workouts, physical, psychological, physical, and relationship self-care program. That's just all. That's the other stuff. That's just talking to that. I'm looking for any others that talk about mental stuff here. They go into the regular stuff like the Complete Prepper Survival Bible. That's not any religion at all on that at all. Just about materials.
Yeah.
There are some other ones because I saw another channel talking about the different books on mental preparedness and spiritual preparedness for disasters and stuff to help you get there. A lot of them though just say, "Hey, go see your spiritual leader and talk to them beforehand."
It's going to be different skills. Again, it goes back to having different skills. You might have somebody that could counsel people. You might have someone who's completely frozen, doesn't know what to do. You know, he's cracked up because he can't go to the ATM machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be laughable to some.
I've seen one that says mastering the prepper's mindset.
Yeah.
Not sure if that covers it. There's not that many when I'm searching on a UK search here.
Yeah. I'm looking at all these the other ones. There's all for everything I find for mental and physical preparedness for disasters. It's a lot of it goes it's focusing mainly on a mental attitude for doing your physical preparedness. That's what everything I'm finding here. Let me take this out of there and see. Try that one. See if that comes up with anything different. Disaster Mental Health Counseling book is a book called Disaster Mental Health Counseling: A Guide to Preparing and Responding.
Yeah.
31 steps. That's household disasters.
There's nothing. I can't see anything in the book.
Yeah. Training.
That's a nice book.
That's the one that we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
Very good books. Sounds like it's interesting books. Very good for beginners as well to get into.
Yeah.
Because we talk about helping out beginners as well to putting bug out bags together, starting prepping, and even starting your, maybe starting your prepping and mental preparedness for prepping. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
It's good to I mean, because you're talking about surviving, like someone who's been through a divorce as a child is a survivor. Someone like that might cope with an SHTF situation more than someone who hasn't been through sort of a divorce and a breakup and a kind of a war zone situation. They might have grown up with a silver spoon in their mouth, and it might have been, you might get someone in your group, you found yourself in a forest and he's a former, let's say former because he can't get to his money anymore, former billionaire, and you're saying to him, collect water from a river. How dare you talk to me like that?
Yeah.
Oh,
do you know who I am?
Yeah. I've got billions.
You're
in
the guy
assets.
my response would be, I know who you are. You're the guy who's unprepared, unknowledgeable, and unskilled, and you need my help.
You say that, but all the billionaires are getting prepared and building bunkers, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they got to come out sooner or later. That's where we come in.
All right. So
Well, they've got their robots. They've got robots to deal with us, haven't they? They've got their, they've got this silly. That'd be a good one. How to prepare for the dogs of I don't know, what do you call them?
Yeah.
We've got this. We don't want to say the V word.
Yeah.
And so, I've got to be careful what I'm saying. But how do you prepare to deal with the threat of robots? I mean, can't we just burn them? Can we just Kalashnikov job? No,
we're pushing ourselves into the sci-fi. We're pushing ourselves into the sci-fi on this one. I don't think we're gonna. If the crap hit the fan, I don't think the first thing we're gonna have to worry about, or even one of the last things, is gonna be a bunch of robots coming out to kill us.
All right.
That's what Sarah Connor thought at one point, and look how that ended.
Well, and it was funny you said that.
There is a Skynet out there.
3 weeks ago, Survival Saturday on my channel was. So when I'm trying to remember the actual name of it. It's when what's the name of it? No, Sky. When Skynet activates, what is your plan? That was the name of it 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we talked about that. But here's the book, 4th edition Disaster Mental Health one. But here's going down here was the next one I found, which was kind of interesting. I haven't really looked at it, but Sesame Street talking about natural disasters and kids.
Sorry.
So, so they got Sesame Street has a series of books like that.
Is this real or is this satire?
This is real because there's
read sample. You can hit read sample on the left.
And you got divorce and you got illness down here too.
Let's get Sesame Street's natural disasters.
Natural disasters with a bomb going off in the background. Yeah, okay, it's real natural.
Yeah, okay. And so you got natural disasters, be prepared. What can you do? Glossary, read. Yeah. So, yeah. Hurricanes, tornadoes.
Great. We got a tranny reading to the kids. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's not. But, yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, so it jumps around from page 4 to page 24. So, yeah, it's leaving out the meat of it there.
Yeah, the meat. There's meat there.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you. It's great to bring kids up with like the Scouts and be prepared that way and stuff like that. But how much of your prepping and SHTF prepping do you pass on to them at an early age, or do you hide them from all that? Because there's a fine balance of having them prepared, and then you see the ones that are on the TV documentaries where they're training with firearms and stuff like that, and running around at 9-year-olds.
That is multidimensional and different aspects to why you're doing certain things. We don't hide anything I never hid anything from our kids. I'm not hiding anything from my grandsons. My daughter's not hiding anything from her boys. We make that preparing is natural life.
Yeah,
we're not teaching them to be scared to death that everything is going to collapse all at once and be fearful all day long. No, like me, I taught my kids how to cook. My wife taught them all kinds of other stuff, medical stuff, because they're like, oh, mommy, I cut myself. Okay, well, this is what you do, and put a Band-Aid on it and sterilize it, clean it, whatever. And okay, thanks, and tears and whatever. But that's how you teach them. You don't teach them, say, oh my God, if you got cut 20 years from now and we don't have medical stuff, you're just gonna die. That's not how you teach your young kids. All my kids are all grown now, so they know what I do. They call me up, they're like, hey, can you make me some of that beef stew and freeze dry it and ship it to me? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, because it's a whole lot cheaper to ship freeze dried foods than it is to ship jars of food.
So teach them the skills that they require, but not necessarily telling them why we're doing. Yeah.
And as they get older, when they ask the question, then we start talking to them about it. And some of them, why are we storing so much food? And I used this story about my older sister. She was pregnant with their number 4 kid, and her husband lost a job. So they were out. He was unemployed for 3 months. I said, yeah, they had food storage. It's just like car insurance. They had, insurance. It's insurance for being unemployed to have food and stuff. And they just used, they lived off that stuff until he was able to find another job. And my boys in the garden, they're like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Yeah.
It's like remember that blackout we had last week for a day? Yeah, well, Daddy had a blackout for a week back in the 70s, and we weren't freaking out. I mean, we weren't going anywhere with the cars because everything's closed, so we just stayed home. And my mom had food and stuff, and everything was in the freezer, got eaten first, and then after that, it was whatever the canned goods were, and then mix match. I mean,
Mark, I need to apologize to you.
What?
The first thing that popped in my head when you said, "Yeah, Daddy had a blackout."
Yeah, okay, not that kind of blackout. I said Daddy had a blackout, not Daddy was blacked out. I don't tell them about those days when I was a teenager.
Yeah, you don't talk about your Cheech and Chong days, huh?
I don't have any Cheech and Chong days, but yeah. Anyway.
Now, so with my kids though, I'm trying to remember. So Megan is. Between Megan and Matthew, Megan was born in 92, Matthew was born in 99, Alex was born in 96. Matthew, I think, was 4. So the other ages were on that. We would go camping at Wolfboro after it was shut down for the winter, and several other families would go over there, and usually there would be 2 or 3 of the range masters that were out there camping in September. And so, hey, you're the range master. Okay, you're in charge of the range. And the families would go over there, and we teach our little kids how to shoot 22s, We'd take them up onto the shotgun range and have 20 gauge like they did at scout camp, and we'd have some would bring clay pigeons and stuff, and some would have the flingerbajobber, and they do clay shooting out there and teach the kids how to shoot, and they teach the little ones, all right, this is going to kick, this is going to hurt. Are you ready for it? And they'd have just one round in there, and they would fire. Oh, okay. And sometimes they want to do it again. Sometimes, nope, I'm good for this year. Next year, they'd try it again and do a couple. Same thing with the 22 rifles. 22 rifles. I mean, my kids were just all over that because it's just one of those things they just absolutely loved because it wasn't that loud. It didn't kick, and they could see themselves hitting the cans down range.
I remember shooting 22 in Boy Scouts. They didn't give us earplugs.
By the time my boys were in it, they were given earplugs, to them.
Well, I'm old, so.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Did you say something? What? What?
Can I quickly address a comment before people make an Amazon purchase? Because there's a comment in there about the book I held up, which was the one we spoke about last week, which is the book, The Ultimate Guide to Rebuilding Civilization. This is not a prepper book. This is not a guide. It's a showpiece. It's something you have on your coffee table. It's a bit satirical. Don't buy it thinking it's a prepper book. It will not get you through Teotihuacan. So that's just a warning. It's fun. That's what it's for.
Yeah. So training the kids and stuff. There is a group here in America, and they have a clothing line it's called FARM. Fathers Against Raising Morons.
Yeah.
And it's showing that kids, elementary school kids learning how to use a hammer, learning how to use a drill, doing stuff, and doing all the fun stuff. And it goes when I'm watching those reels, and there's reels for that on Facebook. You go scrolling through the reels. And what's fun and even better than that is when the reels from the farmers. Kid is out there driving the combine. He's 8 years old driving the combine. Okay, I'm doing 10 miles an hour now, Dad. And he's driving the combine. There are ones where they're out there and they don't show everything, but they're getting ready to harvest chickens or harvest cattle. These are elementary school kids. I was 7 years old when we were harvesting our chickens. My parents are like, "You boys stay away. You don't need to see this." They turn their backs. The next thing you know, we're standing there right next to them, looking at what they're doing. What are you guys doing here? Learning.
Yeah, it's dinner. Can I have that one for dinner?
Yeah, and once they saw us up there and we weren't freaking out, then we got to watch and they trained us how to do everything.
There's a societal thing of overprotecting, though, right? And I mean, if it's a post SHTF world, kids are going to grow up a lot quicker, and they're going to be kids for a lot less time in that sense. In the innocent kids, like just playing, not doing work kind of things. But they're protected now, and they're even protected. That's why, to be honest, that's why half the country in the UK is going into the workplace at 18 or 21 and just taking it for granted, and not even doing the work they should be because they're being brought up like that.
One of the things that I got very lucky with my wife. She was raised. Her parents had an apricot orchard, and she grew up working in the orchard. As soon as she graduated high school, she joined the United States Army, and I went to college on the program they had. When I met her, she was a staff sergeant, and I knew her probably, I would say, not even a full month before I proposed to her. I knew I knew the staff sergeant was the woman I wanted. We liked hiking together. We liked shooting. We liked doing this. We liked gardening. It's like boom. It's like, bam. And I think I surprised the crap out of her when I said, will you marry me? And she was there. She was silent for about 2.5 seconds. Yes.
Well,
did you ever ask
a question here?
Oh, sorry, go
on. My grandkids do karate. How is the karate going for certain panel members?
I don't do it, but I'm sure there's certain ones that use it.
My grandsons, when they get a little bit older, are going to be. My wife and I, are going to be putting them into some sort of martial arts training.
Judo or jiu-jitsu?
Maybe Taekwondo. If I can find someone around here that is a practitioner of Jeet Kune Do, it'll be that. Because Jeet Kune Do draws from all of them.
Yeah. Be like water.
Yeah. And when I was in started college, I started taking some training from his name just went out of my head. Koga. A California Highway Patrolman that had taken several branches of disciplines of martial arts and created a program for law enforcement officers. Certain things you're going to need to do as a law enforcement officer, and that's what I learned that for several years.
I will answer Hugo Homestead's question. Do you do martial arts? Yes, I do. Jiu-jitsu Kai. That's the style I practice here. And I actually have the orange belt, so I'm going for the green at the end of the May. So
yeah,
May 31st, actually. I have my belt test.
Cool. Now, there is a type of thing. I have a 4th degree black belt in something. It's called Smith & Wesson.
You just have 4 black belts that hold a Smith & Wesson.
Well, I started. My dad started me out with firearms with ball and cap, maybe 36 caliber ball and cap pistols. Learning how to quick draw. And I still have one of those pistols, and so basically I have a black belt in black powder. I have a black belt in semi-auto. I have a major black belt in revolver. And in the police academy, I had the same quote number of points, but they had 2 rings that were 10 points, 10 points and 10 points. They didn't do 10 and 10x. They just counted all as 10. I had the same number of points, but they decided to count the dividing line as the differences. And if it's cutting the line at all, you're in the outer ring, not the inner ring, which is the opposite they're supposed to do. If you cut it, you're supposed to be in the inner ring. Otherwise, I would have been first place. But the guy had the exact same pistol I did, Smith & Wesson Model 28, with the long barrel. And a revolver. Everybody just thought there are 2 other revolvers. Everybody else had semi-autos. Revolvers beat everybody else by a mile. But yeah, that's my black belts.
It's a good point across the board, though. Like whether it's martial arts, whether it's archery, whether it's firearms, training is key. Practicing is key. Don't just get these things, stock these things, think they're going to magically keep you safe. Whether you're training for martial arts or whether you're training with some sort of weapon, having the training and having the skill to use them is the key, right?
Exactly.
I just posted off my other channel. My wife says I have a black belt in partial arts. I rarely finish what I started. I rarely finish what I started.
Oh,
yeah.
Martial arts is like a good pie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bob. was talking. Yeah, was talking about. His wife was training him in that.
Yeah. Arnis, Kali, Eskrima. That's the same style, different names.
Yeah,
I have trained that. I have trained that myself as well.
Resilient Queen's question is several marks down there about what is the best age for teaching little boys karate. It depends on the boy.
As young as possible, where they can pay attention, because it's good discipline, if nothing else.
Yeah, if they're really keyed in and well behaved, you can start them sooner. Sometimes you have to, and especially you have multiple boys, and one is the more focused, and he starts sooner. He will then be the one that gets the other ones to settle down because they want to go with him.
That's exactly what we had with my two boys. There's a 2-year difference. The older one started going. He came along when we were watching him, and he just wanted to be involved. So he took it up a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, and like what Emily said there, it depends on what the school says. Because some teachers want to, will want to meet with the kids and get a feeling, well, okay, no, he's not ready yet, or yes, this one is definitely ready.
Yeah, the jiu-jitsu style I practice, my club takes in kids for training when they are 6.
Yeah.
6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know of some that they'll take them younger, but all they do for the first couple of years are the katas. The practicing the forms. They don't do against each other. They just work on on the standing out there and doing and learning muscle memory for certain moves and stuff. And until they are mentally ready, the instructors will not allow them to go one-on-one.
Again, Hollywood, it'd just be a 10-minute montage, right? And then they're all sorted.
Yeah.
Oh, you definitely have to be consistent with your training if it comes to martial arts, and it's like different learning different katas, and then there's a difference between full contact. A lot of people get into martial arts thinking we'll just go to the learn a bit of martial arts, and then when they get into actual fight, they say, "Oh, this is too hard for me." A lot of people come out of karate, for example, because of that reason. Oh, he punched me in the face. Well, this is martial arts.
That could be the making or breaking point, right? Because a lot of people fear that, and then as soon as you're in the ring, I did mixed martial arts. As soon as you get hit once and realize you're not made of glass, you can you become a lot more confident with it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you've been hit a good few times and you know what it feels like, and you know what pain feels like, and you can handle it, that does help having experience. Sometimes life can be very tough, depending on what you've gone through, and again, that's going to be key again in sort of survival situations.
Yeah.
Because you might have people in the group that can't fight, and you might have to have people in the group that can fight, put up a fight at least, or a defense. It's not about fighting, but it's about defending yourself and your little group, and that could be a good subject to talk about maybe later on. How defense in the SHTF situation.
Yeah, everyone's got that fight or flight, right? Fight or flight, right? That's inside all of us. But you need to kind of it's good thing with the martial arts and stuff like that is you can kind of put yourself in that situation to know what it's going to feel like.
Confidence.
Yeah,
it gives you a bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And
respond, not react, is what I always say. Respond, not react.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. To at least make a stand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, exactly. Imagine you got people that you thought were your friends for a long time. Yeah, I'll be your buddy. I've got your back if there was ever a situation. And as soon as it comes to it, they've run off and left you there.
Yeah, scattered.
Yeah.
You're like, and you're there, against people that want to rob you or kill you or whatever. They want your supplies, and your mate's buggered off.
The wooden man post, or also called the Wing Chun wooden dummy.
Yep.
Is great for younger kids, because what are they fighting against? They're just working against the post. And it also builds up, even for adults too, it builds up the feeling of impacting something.
Yeah.
And you start off soft, and as you're working it and learning it, the harder you hit, you feel it in increments of what the pain is of hitting something.
Mm-hmm.
So, my daughter says not yet. I was going to build one of these for the boys that are 6, 8, and not 10, 9 or 10 or whatever. Not yet. I don't want them training on that yet. But I think that's what the two little ones need to do, is have that to work out their frustrations on. It's like the punching bag, for boxing, learning how to box, and geez, when I was a kid, there were a lot of kids in junior high that were lived close enough to the junior high to stay there and join the boxing club. They were also told you cannot box anybody that's not in the boxing club. You can only box during the boxing club in the gym there, in the ring. You don't box against anybody else outside.
Yeah, and that's why they teach a lot of techniques beforehand, because you can punch a heavy bag with a wrong technique and break your wrist.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where I recommend. My wife started me out on a punching bag, learned the basic strikes, and then she built up my endurance, because I was over 40 years old when I went into this. So judo is pretty much out. Same with jiu-jitsu and all that. I was not flexible enough or strong enough. I'd get really hurt. So she started me with stick and knife harness, and we started with the punching bag, and she'd had me pound on a canvas punching bag until my knuckles were bleeding, and then go back at it again the next day. And they I wanted to learn something to where I don't have to do a lot of fast, wonderful, graceful moves. I want to know how to kill somebody, period. And that's what the stick and knife is all about. It's not about show. It's about killing someone. That's why we send our military to the Philippines, so the Filipinos can train them on stick and knife and the bolo. It's very fucking lethal. It's very fast, man. If you go against somebody who's really well versed in that form of the martial arts, you're going to die. If he chooses to kill you, he will. If not,
yeah, you better pay homage if he doesn't kill you.
And poke a couple of holes in you, spin around and leave.
Yeah.
It's very lethal.
Yeah. All right. There was a comment too above this one that I think something we can address here. He's the one up there by War 100. Yeah. How brutal do you need to be after the breakdown? Should you have sympathy or mercy for someone who's attacked you?
That's always going to be situation dependent.
Yeah.
If they attacked me, and it's just one person, It's going to. I'm coming back until I do not feel in danger or they run off. Basically, that's the starting point. If I have a feeling they're going to come back later on, they ain't going to get a chance to run away. I think Bob can agree with this. You don't want them coming back and coming after your family.
Well, the thing is, over in Asia, I've been there so many times. Don't fist fight with anybody, because even a fist fight in the street will wind up with one of you dead. That's how they fight over there. Over there, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
One of you will wind up dead, period. Nobody steps in to break it up. None of that.
Yeah.
You fight like a couple of wildcats until somebody isn't breathing anymore.
Yeah. And if someone were to attack a member of my family, that's when I break. It's not going to be a fair fight. It's going to be old age and treachery is going to win.
It's yeah, and it's also it's a control thing as well.
Yeah.
Because I'll openly admit I've got the longest fuse in the world. Yeah, I can diffuse it's bad situations with humor. I can not fight galore, but when it burns out, I've not got much control over that, and it's happened a few times, and it's just like, yeah. So the control aspect of that is going to be something you're going to battle with anyway.
I'm going to build on top of that. The more you practice any sort of martial art is when you learn more of your own physical control, to where you can either hurt them, disable them, or kill them. That's about the most important part about practice and practice and practice and practice. Your own physical control.
Yeah. Also toughening yourself up where you can.
That too.
I mean, we're talking about punching stuff. A good way to toughen up your hands, your knuckles, get them up to the point where you're ready. You can get some. You've probably seen this as well, Bob. You get some rope, wrap it round the board, and you start punching the rope on the board, and that just toughens up your knuckles, gets them ready. You toughen your body up as well. Some people go to the point of killing their nerves on their shins.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So there's guys that just kick through a bamboo, 4-inch bamboo, no problem. 5-inch bamboo, 6-inch bamboo.
I can do that with one leg, but that's only because it's a metal shin.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
ouch.
That's it. It's good to have a metal shin, stuff like that. Just toughen
That's
yourself
the
up.
leg you lead with when somebody comes at you with a stick.
If you want to toughen your stomach muscles up, get a medicine ball. I mean, it's SHTF situation. You might have to defend yourself. You might have to, you might not want to let go of your bag. It might be the only thing you've got in the whole wide world left. And in some situations, you might have to defend yourself. But obviously, if you can avoid the situation, so maybe you might want to get fit and be able to run.
Yeah, it's a good point. Whether we're talking about medical, whether we're talking about fighting, whether we're talking about physical, any sort of resilience, preppers shy away from it a lot of the time. But keeping your body in a decent shape, or keeping as healthy as you possibly can, is the best prep you can do for peacetime and for SHTF. Because if you can run that slightly bit faster than the other guy, if you can move slightly quicker than the other guy, it's always going to serve you well. And I know some people have physical restrictions in that sense, but there's still stuff you can do to slightly improve. Just eat a bit better, do stuff like that. We're not saying all become demigods or anything like that, but just look after yourself, because you're going to survive a lot longer in better condition.
Well, that's very interesting as well, because people are at a different state. I had a little idea, and that was people being slightly overweight. Okay, you can still be fit, but you can still be slightly overweight. I don't know what panel thinks of this one. How about being ready for SHTF, but being a little bit overweight?
Purposely, you mean like storing?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, what am I talking about? Sorry. Yes, purpose.
Calorie storage.
Yeah.
Yes, like so, prepping, like squirrels. I don't know. They put them in their mouth and they go and bury them. But I'm just saying, is that advisable? Does anybody on the panel know?
Personally, I would say it's the risk reward ratio, and I think the risk of the health, it is more
I'm not saying be a
detrimental.
beast. I'm not saying get a beast. Like I'm not saying have 15 years of storage on your body ready.
Yeah. No, but if you can keep, you're right in a way. Yeah, if you can keep physical,
just a couple
it's
of
better
pounds
than
over.
lean. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to get back in shape, and I've been watching some videos and doctors talking about stuff and everything. If you're worried about that, it's better to be overweight in muscle rather than overweight in fat.
Yeah, because if you look at gladiators weren't all muscly. They looked a bit chubby.
At least in the movies, anyway.
If they got cut, it's I don't know, something to do with they've got more protection. The blabber's more I don't know.
Not really.
In the same sense as well, if you eat a terrible diet, right? Say you two people eat a terrible diet. One looks overweight, one looks skinny as a rake. We've all seen them, these guys that do the food eating challenges and like the bearded guy and stuff like that. Yeah. They eat like anything and they're still skinny. The skinny guy's the most unhealthy out of the two. Let me tell you that straight away. Because if your body's not storing fat on the outside, it's storing it inside, and it's called visceral fat, and it's surrounding your organs. So it's actually healthier if you're eating like that, it's healthier to be slightly overweight than it is to be slim. You've not got a super metabolism. You're still storing that fat. It's just where's it going?
Yeah, so try to be fit, but as well be a little bit, over. Yeah,
have some timber.
Because here's the interesting thing on fat versus muscle. If you have a certain level of workout and you're all muscle or you have excess fat and you extend that workout and work harder, your body is going to will burn the muscle before it burns the fat, because it's easier to transfer the protein of the muscle into the energy than it is to transfer the fat into the energy to do it. This is one of the things they're talking about is if you're going to go to the gym, have some protein before you go to the gym. A little bit, not enough to get your stomach all bound up, but so your body has something to draw on, so it's not trying to take your muscle to convert it to the energy you need for your workout.
Yeah, so we're talking about overtraining. It's very key that you know your BMR and which is your basal metabolic rate, which is how many calories you need per the activity you do, your size, your weight, and stuff like that. If you're under that, yes, you're going to lose weight, but you're not going to gain lean muscle or anything like that because you're losing weight full stop. Yeah, a good balanced diet is how you lose fat healthily. Training in the gym, don't overtrain. You've got to have that energy to do so. Otherwise, like Gil says, it's going to burn energy off. So, I mean, I did a PT course and a nutritionist course when I got made redundant a few years ago. You learn a lot. I've not put it into practice on myself at the moment, but but you learn a lot about it. And yeah, it's scary how many people think they're really healthy purely based on their silhouette.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I spent too many years behind the desk there.
That's what did me a desk job, from going from joinery to a desk job.
Yeah.
Fat Fridays turned into Fat Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays.
Yeah. So. But yeah, there's when it comes to that, exercising is, you need to keep yourself fit. If you're unfit and you're working on it, you need to work on it at a steady pace. And if you can, avoid having the grandsons over trying to have sugary snacks, because that's the biggest temptation. Yeah. Especially when they come over with snacks and say, "Hey, Grandpa, have one of these."
Mm.
Don't you love me? Have one.
Come on, yeah.
But
On
I
that
mean,
note-
you try to teach them sharing at the same time, though, right?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I will say to people in there, because all people have different abilities and stuff like that, is something will work for you. Just because the guy you watched, if it's like Joe Wicks or something like that on YouTube, and you're doing the same as him and it's not working for you, doesn't mean you're a write-off. So different things work for different people, different types of diet, paleo, keto, things like that. And it works different for everybody. You've just got to find what works for you. And it can't feel like you're punishing yourself. Yeah. So when I lost 3.5 stone, it was on the keto diet, but it wasn't like avocados with every meal. It was dirty keto, I call it, right? Because I was having a pack of bacon and 6 eggs for breakfast and still losing weight. It didn't matter how much I ate as long as I cut out certain food groups.
Oh, so you're doing more of a carnivore then?
I was when I lost all that initial weight. Yeah, I'm on quite a balanced one now.
Cut the carbs out and the crappy carbs, and your body will love it for it.
Yeah, and that works for me, but it different. All I'm saying is, no matter what your physical level is, there's different things will work for different people. Yeah. And I'm always open. Anybody wants to email me about anything like that. Advice is free.
And it depends on what kind of body type you have. There are 3 body types: ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Ectomorph is a slim guy.
So
can eat a lot and still not gain any weight.
And he's the one that's got that visceral fat around his organs.
And then we have the mesomorph. That is a guy who is between ectomorph and endomorph. That person can gain weight easily, but also lose weight easily.
Mm-hmm.
And endomorph has slower metabolism.
Yeah.
So that's why they have a lot of fat, and they can't go lose weight.
It's worth saying as well, imagine them 3 are circles, they all cross over at some point in the middle. You can be a bit of one or a bit of the other, not necessarily you're fully in that group. Yeah. So it depends what you change about your body and your habits. You can suddenly start having green tea every single meal. It's horrible. I can't stand it, but start having green tea and your metabolism is going to go up. So it's going to change that thing. So just don't think if you're an endomorph, that's it. You're stuck like that. There's things you can do.
And things go, your body changes. For most, when I got married at 30, 30. And about a year after I got married, my body changed and caught up. I weighed 150 pounds from my freshman year in high school to when I got married. I was 150 pounds when I got married. So 150 pounds. A year later, I started putting on weight. Even though I kept working, I kept doing everything, I started putting on weight. And then when I got the desk job, oh crap. I got up to 240 pounds.
Yeah, honestly.
And I'm back down to, I'm floating around 200 now. I want to get down to 175 again or lower like I used to be.
These mice are the worst weight gain tool ever.
Yes. So, so you can be one type, and all of a sudden something happens. Your body just goes through a change, and all of a sudden now you're no longer. I used to be able to, before I got married, and a year after I got married, I could eat Twinkies, cupcakes, cinnamon rolls, you name it, and I never gained an ounce.
That's because back then the wheat wasn't GMO either, so there's that going for us.
That too, but all of a sudden it was like my a switch went on my body, and it was like, whoa, I can't eat that stuff anymore. I'm getting fat. I'm going, I just started putting on weight, and it was like, I'm still working out there. I'm shoveling, and working. I was still working construction for a little bit at a time. I was out there working, shoveling, doing stuff, and I was still putting on weight.
So are we all going to go on the survival tabs diet then? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great. I was just thinking of that.
Now, I'm just trying to convince the staff sergeant to let me buy a couple of beef cows so I can go on the carnivore diet. Because one thing I've noticed in the last month or two, if I cut the carbs totally out, I start losing some weight and I'm feeling good. My body, everything's fine. The grandkids come over, share my bologna sandwich with me. All of a sudden, my feet hurt and my feet start swelling up again. And it's like, holy crap, I got to cut that out.
See, the transition as well is kind of the worst period. A lot of people try keto and carnivore and they give up in the first week because they start to get them flu-like symptoms. And that's your body changing over to become a ketogenic diet. And that just means instead of using like the carbohydrates, it's using fats and stuff like that for energy. Now, ultra marathon runners who run like 7 back-to-back marathons, a lot of them are keto because fat is a much more efficient use of energy. It burns as energy a lot better. And the reason you lose so much weight is it's very difficult to eat as much fat as you're burning. So it burns the excess off in that way. Yeah. Now, same applies if you're on that and you decide I'm suddenly want a grilled cheese, and you smash 3 of them in a day and then you've already broke it. So you go to McDonald's, your body's got to do that entire switch back again. And that's where you get all them feelings, them aches, them pains, and stuff like that.
You can't cheat on that. It doesn't work. It's like, I'm just going to do this today. I'm just going to have this little bar of chocolate. I'll be fine. And then all of a sudden you're back to square one. Why am I not losing any weight? It's like, because you ate a bar of chocolate 2 days ago. That's why.
Yeah, it's got to be a lifestyle, not a diet. It's got to be a lifestyle. You've got to make this choice of this is how I'm going to eat. And it doesn't have to be fully keto, fully paleo or anything like that. If you're just eating fresh, good produce, meat, vegetables, stuff like that, it's going to happen naturally anyway.
On that note, guys and girls, I'm going to be saying good night for me. I'm going to shoot off. Thanks, Shadow, for having us on. Nice to see you all.
Good night, Daryl.
Have a good night, everyone in the chat as well. Have a good week and be careful, stay fit, keep sharp, be vigilant, and think about changing routines sometimes. That's a good one. How can we change our routines so that we're not too obvious? And as you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Anyway, good night and God bless.
All right.
God bless.
All right. I'm going to drop a link in here. Where is it? There it goes. All right. Actually, let me put something on it. I go live in about 35 minutes. So on mine, so here's the link. Gray Man GRE prepping live. LIVE. Does that look right? Yep. It looks like I spelled everything right, I think. Yep. All right, there it is. So I'm going live in 30 minutes. Tonight's topic is after California slides into the ocean, what are your plans?
I'm on the East Coast, so I'll just be having a beer and watching from a distance.
Oh, but what about all that food that was raised in California? All those California avocados and all the other food.
I already got it stockpiled. I'm good. By the time the growing season comes back again in another part of the country or world, I'm still good. Yeah. I'm gonna bail here too. I gotta run and get some stuff done before the wife gets home here in about 45 minutes.
Hey Teresa, good to see you.
So, hey Mike, did you throw your link up there?
What for my channel?
Yeah.
No, I can do. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, do that quick because that way I can bug you like I bug Jaron all the time. I got 2 channels. That's why I'm commenting on my Mad Chick Acres one because that's on my phone. I just turn the volume off, and I'm on StreamYard here, so it's tough to comment without it popping on 4 channels at the same time. That's a Chef Tech channel.
Yeah, I've popped mine in there.
There we go.
I've followed your Chef Tech account. I'm not sure of your other one, where that is.
Yep. Oh, that's right. I'm not going to see that on my phone because you're streaming this to your channel, right?
You should be able to see it still.
My phone is only on Jaren's channel, so I'm not seeing it there. But that's all right. I copy pasted here.
Yeah, if you just put UK Urban Prepper in, I'm usually at the top. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paste that. Of course, my dog's barking again because that's what he does. Oh, there you are. All right. I am subbed.
nice one.
Hey, Kaylin, good to see you.
All right, let me shut my mic off now. My dog's being a jerk.
Well, Gil, I won't keep you on for much longer. You have your live stream.
Yeah.
So you have some preparations for that too. So
I got most of it done, but yeah, I also want to go grab a hamburger patty to snarf down for them.
yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Cooked, I hope.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's the raw paleo diet. Yeah, it's it.
Yeah.
It's the oh shoot, I just lost the word. It's the Jurassic carnivore diet.
That's it. Everything tartar.
I don't know why, but that sounds like it'd cost a lot of money to be on.
That's why I'm looking at trying to get some beef cows here. Because it's if I can get some beef cows and get them butchered locally, it's like a quarter of the price of buying that amount of meat at the store.
Yeah, well, you still got to feed them and do all the things, but yeah.
No, I can buy I can get one from April over here. They raise cattle, and I can buy one, and they'll take it to the butcher for me, and if I pay the butcher and everything else, and what I get back is way cheaper than buying the same amount of meat at the store.
Yeah, and better for you too.
Yeah, grass fed here.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I'm going to bail too. You all have a great night, evening, day, wherever you're at, and I'll see you on the next one.
Yeah,
Cheers.
get out of here too.
Take care,
So,
Chef.
everyone, grow something indoors and learn a new skill every month. See you later.
See you later, Gil.
Yeah. I grew something indoors, but it was 5 kids. They didn't give me any skill.
No. 5 kids is a lot of kids.
A lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I assume you're ending now anyway, so I'll also.
Yeah, I think I'm wrapping things up now.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's late, so
I'll say my goodbyes. So, I mean, because I was streaming this on my channel as well. Anybody who has come over from my channel, all the links for Shadow Scout, for Gil, for Chef Tech are below the video. Please go and subscribe and show all their videos some love. And thanks for having me again, Shadow Scout.
it's a pleasure.
Really
It's a
appreciate
pleasure,
it.
Mike.
See you later.
I'll see you later. Okay, guys. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. We wrap things up. Thanks, dear Love Survival, for stopping by as usual. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone who's stopping by for today's stream. And I will see you next week. Same time, same channel, new topic. And thank you, Resilient Queen. I appreciate it. So, take care, stay safe, be part of the solution, not the problem. Strength and honor. God bless. And we are out.